indeed, we're back. It's Friday, and that means it's time for this week's Freaky Friday. Yes, right here on TFRlive.com. It's going to be another good one. I can feel it building already. I really, really can. And after last week's show, probably quite hard to top that. We got deep, deep, deep down into the underground bases, deep underground. And I tell you, Scotty Lopez, great to be back with you, man. That show last week, that is, I tell you, that's been one of the more popular Freaky Fridays that we've done in a long time. I can tell by the comments, the emails, the likes, the shares. It's always a bit cringy when you come across your own show being shared on Twitter, but it's a good thing. But yeah, that topic, dude, people really resonated with that, man.
Like I said, it was getting back to some old school coast to coast AM style, just good woo, I mean, it doesn't get any better than the whole deep underground military base, cavernous earth, what could lie below, and it just makes you wonder, man. I mean, I'm sure some of that's going to end up spilling over into this week as well.
Absolutely, Scott. I know it is. I know it is. My appetite has been whetted, and talking about carnivorous or cavernous, I think I've got cavernous hair syndrome. Dude, I've just had to resort to just slicking it all back and living under the dome that is my new scare dude. But tomorrow, folks, there is trimmers on the way. Ah, yes, I'm gonna go full taxi driver, Scott. Just off with it.
Oh,
I've had enough, dude. It's like I said to you before the show. I'm all jaded out. I'm like I kind of got spent the last couple of years. I feel like it's taken its toll, Scott, and I need to go full psycho.
That's pretty much what I do. I mean, I come to terms with my hair loss, my receding hairline, and a lot of people, they get self-conscious about it. Not me, you just go, you know what? You accept it. You accept your fate. You don't fight nature, and you just throw on the shortest.
There we go. There we go. Now, I think we'd got disconnected there, but we're back.
Oh.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Big shout out to Lucky. Lucky, big shout out there. Yes, I think you just saved our soul there. Saved our bacon. Oof. I didn't even notice the disconnecting, but thank you. We're live. We're live. We'll go through that again, Scott.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like deja vu, right? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And what a show we had last week about deep underground military bases. It was great, Scott.
Hey, well, at least the TFR audience got to miss my horrible hair trimming barbershop.
I think you should share that with the larger TFR audience, because I think that was a good story. People like the personal touch, Scott.
Well, no, you were bringing up how you were thinking about just buzzing it all off and going bald. Or at least getting it trimmed as close as possible, and that's what I do. That's what I do. Like I said, the
really, folks, it was better the first time because he was talking about how he was compensating for the receding hairline, and I'll out you, Scott. Yeah, that's it, man.
No. I mean, you're losing your hair or whatever.
You know why I'm laughing, Scott? You know why I'm laughing? There's far too much daylight getting through the sides, the telltale receding patches. Yep.
Yeah. You know what? You just gotta own it. You just gotta come to terms.
I've always been pretty vain about my hair, dude. I can't do it, man.
It's like you get those guys that are like in their 60s and they're getting like hair transplants and getting like plugs and all of this kind of crazy stuff, or even, I mean, would you go? Come on, Kev.
Never. Never, dude. Never. If you're getting bald, I mean, I'm not saying we'd be happy about it or embracing it or anything, but it is what it is,
Yeah, or the guys that like to wear toupees and kind of ridiculous.
No,
stuff
definitely not, man. Although I will say nowadays, the finery that you can wear on your head, the wigs, the toupees, a far different thing than when I was growing up. It was far easier to tell when somebody was wearing a bit of a hairpiece. In fact, it was comical at times when you seen people back in the 80s and things like that. You'd think, whoa, why even bother? But now, Scott, now I think, probably hard to tell.
There's an area you would never think of, right? Like, who would have thought the advancements in toupee technology have excited over all these years,
Tell you, this is probably the strangest way we've ever kicked off a Freaky Friday, man. Yeah.
Hey, it's freaky and it's Friday.
You know what caused this? I know what caused this, right? I was over in the disco server before the show, and there was a lot of music getting played from like the early 90s. And it was like we were on one of these kind of time travel experiences, but mentally, with nostalgia and music and talk of the time. And I think that's what's kind of throwing me back there. And now I'm back in the 80s. Who knows what time period I'm going to end up in by the end of these 3 hours, dude.
Early 90s. Good time.
Oh, the decade that music died. Finally. Yeah, I really do think it was the decade that music pretty much died.
I think 90s was probably the last decade when there was any sort of decent, mainstream music. Like,
does that happen to every generation, though? Like when our parents grew up, when they had us and things, did they end up listening to our music and going, oh, music's gone? Is it just part of getting old?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, how depressing. I'm losing my hair. I'm getting old. Man.
I try to keep up with modern music, though. Like, I try not to box myself in, and I realize that like a lot of the stuff I like is because of nostalgia, right?
Yep.
And then people end up putting the blinders on to like new stuff that they probably would like, but they just go, all of this new stuff that these young whippersnappers are listening to, it's horrible. Well, it's just because you have nostalgia for things in the past, and you've kind of put blockers on and you refuse to give new things a try, which I think people should do to some, give it a try. Give it a try.
Stuff nowadays isn't music. What are you talking about, man? Anywho, listen. I mean, Scott, just sitting here, having a conversation, but we're live on Freaky Friday on your number one network, Truth Frequency Radio, tfrlive.com. Big shout out to Chris and Cherie Geo and all the rest of the team, all 33 hosts. Yes, there's that number, 33 hosts over there at the home of Freaky Friday, tfrlive.com. And it's got its own chat room, and it's filling up over there. I see Lucky, one of the bigger show hosts on the network here, and my very good friend, somebody who I've known about for years, but only started doing shows with him really recently, 2 in the past month or so, Billy Ray Valentine. Oh, now, there's a dude we're going to have to get on Freaky Friday and a Thursday KBS, Scotty. Dang, dude. It's like a little piece of us. It's so amazing. It truly is. Now, there's a super chat coming in. I hear something. There it is. DJ, thank you.
I might be bald, but I've hairy hands and a hairy
hands. Now, there's been a more familiar topic on Freaky Friday. Thank you for reminding us. But listen, folks, if you want to hang out with some of the show hosts and some of the hardcore long-term Wookiees that hang about in the TFR Wookiee Cave, tfrlive.com/chat. Now, it's not just me and Scotty here today. Oh, no. Now, I'm hoping our third amigo is back. I know his daughters are coming to visit, though. So, sending out the smoke signals to my brother from another mother over there on the other side of the pond, who I know everybody is so fond of. It's Kevin. See, you like that? You like it?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Hello and hi. What a wonderful, hilarious moment we may have this evening. to be with the two of you and to do the things we do on Freaky Friday with the Woo crew. Let's bring it on.
Let's bring it on. And Kev, I'm going to be coming back to you after I do the roll call, the fellowship of the Woo that hang out over there in the Wookiee cave, because you are full of ideas, full of topics, and really trying to knock me and Scott out of our very, very shooting from the hip, don't prepare for anything kind of ethos that we've always had running through the show. So we're going to make the most of this, Kev, and I'm going to be coming back to you in just a moment. But I'm heading over there now, the TFR live chat. So first up, there's me and Sophia. All the rumours that you've heard are probably true. Sophia has got little family members that are about to be released into the world as well. Yes, that might be. Scott's looking at me. That's going to be a show coming up in the very near future. Yeah, exactly. Now we start off with the aforementioned, and she hosts a show right here every Monday and Wednesday, right after the Kev Baker show. It's our very own Lucky. Then we've got Bam, Onslow, the aforementioned Billy Ray. Wow, what a dude. Big up to you, Billy. I hope you're having a great time. I think you're going to Washington this weekend. Good luck, brother. We've got Cold Brews, Nightshade. Oh, we've got Michaela Multi-Cop F81. Wow. There's a name and a half, right? And I've probably butchered that. It's probably meant to be said in a really cool way. Dude, I struggle with Kev at the best of times. Waffle Buddy, all one. The brilliant Carol Motzinger. We've got Gemini and Curious Traveller. I always find the Curious Travellers are either the most interesting or the most annoying, because they'll never shut up, right? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? What's that? Are we there yet? No, I thought that was funnier in my own head. But anywho, Naysay, let me come to you, man, because we got off the show last week, and a great show we had last week. Thanks for that. But you are full of ideas because we're approaching a very special time of year over in the US. It's actually quite a big event over here now in recent years as well. But it's Super Bowl time, man. You're looking forward to that coming up, Kevin. That kind of sets us up for some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today, right?
Well, the Super Bowl of Strangeness is always interesting on so many different levels. And there's someone that is on the TFR network, Zach, on Wednesday nights with his gematria, which is really, really interesting. If you look at the whole iconography and symbolism of numbers matching letters, and you go through the historical changing of the letters. And as we look at the NFL and the AFL and what's about to occur coming up on Super Bowl Sunday, and then you see all of the symbolism, not only in the games, but in the commercials and on the playing field and the actual football itself and the number of players. And then it's also, some will claim in the whole conspiracy theory world that, you know, the symbolism is very prevalent. And is this the powers that should not be opportunity to have ceremonies and rituals to commence their oncoming play or game or theater or entertainment, depending on how you look at it. It's all about the perspective.
What do you think, Scotty? What do you think, man? You're a big football man.
No, you know, I like my football, you know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying sports.
No, I'm soccer mad. Well, football over here. Yeah. You guys have got it all wrong. You spend the ball spends the majority of its time in people's hands. That's all I'm saying. It gets kicked very rarely in your version of football.
Hey, you know, us Americans, we had to make sure everything was different from Europe in every way. I mean, we even completely changed our standard of measurement and weight and everything. You know, we said screw the metric system.
Yeah, you're true. Yeah, fair point. You're right. So what do you make of these opening ceremonies? We've been mean, we've been doing this a long time, Scott. The very first radio show or appearance on radio that I ever done was with Joe Joseph, and it came on the night of the London 2012 Olympics and that opening ceremony. I'll never forget that night. It was like the most nervous I have ever been in my entire life. I was used to just like talking to my camera on YouTube.
Can you imagine being nervous about to go on with Joe
The
Joseph?
sweat, dude. I used to think, like, I'm not gonna joke. I'm not gonna lie, right? He's not here. He'll probably not hear this, but to me, Joe Joseph was like Chris and Cherie Geo, Alex Jones, the people I would listen to. Oh, big pedestals, man, big pedestals. And what do they say? What do they always say? Don't get to know the people you look up to. Joe Joseph is proof of that. How can I ever put him on a pedestal now he's my good friend? You know what I'm saying? You're better off. So yes, I was very nervous. And I was sweating buckets. But that's how long I've been looking at these events / ceremonies / rituals. And for people out there, you know, you might think, what's the point? I'll tell you what, there's a lot of stuff in there that does seem to line up.
Oh,
When you get into the historical stuff, the colors they use, the numbers, like Kev said, and movies, they all tie in. What do you make of it, man?
Well, first let's go back in history. Let's take a little trip in time and kind of build up to the present, and we'll see that, you know, this isn't anything new by any means whatsoever. Bread and circus has been utilized by the elites for thousands of years. I mean, let's look at some examples here. We've got the Roman Colosseum, you know, that was, you know, where the term bread and circus comes from the Roman age, you know, where you had to entertain the population, keep their minds distracted from a lot of things that were going on at the time, and it was a way to exert some control and you know. And we also see this look at the Aztec culture. They literally had basically the early form of soccer, right? Where they kicked a ball and all of this. But, you know, there was always some form of entertainment or ceremony that had symbolism also tied into it as well. Almost like a way of being able to also present propaganda to the masses as well through this spectacle, through a spectacle that, you know, gets everyone's attention and focuses on it. And you know, that's what we see today as well. We're not seeing gladiators pit in combat where one doesn't end up leaving the arena anymore. However,
although my new idea for politics would be far more along the gladiatorial kind of lines. I'm just throwing that in there. It's as close as I'm getting to that subject, but you know.
But it still arouses that primal instinct or thing that we have in us when it comes to these sort of gladiatorial events or these ceremonies or whatever you want to call them, right? Where you have a mass amount of people spectating and viewing the big event and all of that. And whether it be you know, guys in an octagon beating each other up, or guys throwing a football, or guys kicking a football around over there in Europe or whatever. It definitely draws a mass amount of attention to it and all of that, and they utilize that stuff to they utilize symbology and subliminals and all kinds of different things in the advertising and
Remember that year there was the Batman
Those-
film, Scott, and it showed you one of the stadiums that was like blowing up, and everyone was thinking, "This is the one. Look, it's this one. It's going to be happening this year." I can't remember. Was it the one with Bane? Was it that? Was it that Batman? Was it?
yeah, it was the
yeah.
one with Kane where they
Yep.
blew up the football field
Yep.
and all of that stuff. Yeah. And so they definitely utilize this stuff. I mean, can you imagine, Kev? Think about it. Being alive during the Roman Empire and actually going to the Colosseum and witnessing that. And can you imagine the amount of pageantry and this, for the Roman Empire, just the amount of propaganda that the people were seeing in the, for the emperor and all of the, like I said, the everything that would build up to the gladiatorial combat and all of that. It's really no different. It really is. All of the they didn't have television, but think about like all of the propaganda going on in the street vendors and everybody talking all around the Colosseum. You didn't even have to be in the Colosseum, but just the
There would be
events
whispers of like the hardest dudes there. There would be like rumors come back from Rome about the latest big kind of prize fighter in there, and you can picture all the kids probably pretended they were them, the same way as when I was a kid I pretended I was like Maradona and my favorite footballer. It's crazy, right?
It's just wild to
In a
think about.
period,
On you go, Kev.
in a
Yeah, go ahead.
period when all roads led to Rome and the Colosseums, when from all over the Roman Empire, they would come with their strong men, with their best runners, their best jumpers, and competition. Because when you get a bunch of, or when you need to appease the dumb masses for the continuation of control, especially if you had these dates signify with the occultation of the sun, proving your royalty, that it was God that selected you to be the emperor at the time. Yes, the propaganda has been from before and to now over and over again. Right now, they're thinking that this Super Bowl is going to be the largest viewed event because of the current boogeyman that has been, or woman, I'm sorry, boogie entity, boogie nights. So as we're looking for that light in the darkness, because in the Olympic stadiums, the events are held, so we have to light our torches or light our candles or pay attention to that delight in the darkness.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, look at the Olympics as well. I mean, that's been going on since the, back in the
That's the one I'm really looking forward to from technological interactive kind of what we're going to see with that 2021 Tokyo Olympics if it goes ahead.
Yeah.
Because I've had so long to prepare for this, Scott, I really think it's going to be like, it's going to be all augmented reality type stuff, very interactive.
Knowing Japan, just knowing Japan, it's going to be a very, very spectacular display of technology on on all sort of fronts. Like you said, Kev, is there's going to probably be a lot of like crazy augmented reality stuff. You got to wonder if they're going to be doing a lot of like weird projection kind of hologram things and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's going to be some symbology in there, but I think just that in itself is kind of symbolic in that fact, to show that we're accelerating into that
space
sci-fi
age, baby. We're in the space age now. So, guys, before we go to the break, quickly, I mean, who am I to put my money on? Who's even playing in the Super Bowl? Hold that thought. We'll find out when we come back. I forgot we were even talking about the Super Bowl there. Don't go anywhere, folks. Freaky Friday is warming up. And trust me, we're going deep, deep woo. The longer you listen, the deeper the woo gets. And then we hand off to Brent Thomas and the Paranormal Portal. So we'll be back in 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Let me disconnect this here.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing.
There's my man, Don. Don, 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 Don. Don on the other night. Great guy. Yeah, so, guys, who is going to win? Who am I put my money on?
So we have the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, hang on. This is getting a habit.
Yeah, second year in a row.
Yeah.
Second year in a row.
Is that Mahone kid? Is that his name? Is that the dude?
Yeah.
See, I know a bit of the American football, dude.
Look at Kev. Well, Patrick Mahomes' name has made it all the way to good old Scotland.
He's something else, that one. He's good. Yeah.
He's the...
And then we've got the Pirates. We've got the Buccaneers. Is that who we're getting?
See, here's the thing. Look, dude. I've always been a fan of the Buccaneers. They were kind of like my underdog team that, I've always wanted to see them do good.
Oak Island.
The thing is, I do not like Tom Brady, and I was so
See to me, like he is just your stereotypical
Number 7.
Your stereotypical kind of what's it they call them in college, not the jock. The kind of like that. He's just your stereotypical dude from there, and he must be loved over there, dude. The money that guy makes, man.
And when he left, when he left the Patriots and he went to the Buccaneers. No, I don't know. But anyways, so I think Kansas City is going to win.
No.
You don't think so?
I pay no attention to football except for one of my dear friends comes over and we'll sit and have a session and he'll talk football. And I will pick the games from the esoteric and iconography or symbolism of it. And I have been 60 to 70% accurate this year. And if I am to call it, I'm going to say it is going to be the Skull and Bones shall win.
Oh, okay.
Because the symbolism of it is the Bisons were defeated, right? In the last game, the Bisons and the Chiefs. When the creation of America happened, they wiped out the Bison to help wipe out what? The Indians.
Okay.
The Chiefs.
Okay.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Skull and Bones, they played last week the Packers. Industry, packaging, shipping, commercialism. So we're watching the fall of an economic collapse with the packaging, the Industrial Revolution. And now the Skull and Bones will be on top because aren't they always, Scotty?
They are for me. I'm watching Black Sails right now and it's full of pirates.
Yes.
Love that program, man. Love it.
Very, very, very interesting breakdown, they say. A very interesting way of looking at it.
Wait till we come back live. Well, I tell you, I'm not happy at this. I am not happy at this. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, hang on, here we go. Oh, wow. There we go. We're back. We're live. Second part of today's Freaky Friday. I tell you what, I mean, I've been known to troll the old grifter and larper on social media and things, right? But I'm not really that into getting trolled myself, especially when it comes from my own mother. My own mother trolling me. Yeah, it's just message there. Big laughy faces, crying, laughing and all that. Far better with a hat on. Oh, look, I told you my hair's like it's not good. There was me embracing my big hair day. I decided to come out the closet. I decided, to go all full hair. Wear it with pride, they said. And my mum wallop right in the stones, man.
Wow.
Shocking, dude. Shocking. That's what... Who needs enemies, eh?
Pearly came in like a P50, like a Mustang, man, just
savage,
unloaded.
Absolutely savage.
The stick is always sharper when it comes from your family when they poke you.
Absolutely.
And blessings to you, Pearl.
So,
and I didn't want to bring it up about hair with you gentlemen, but I am sporting these 2.5 foot braids.
Oh, listen to just showing off over there, man. And
I could cut them off and you guys could use them.
Dude, listen, I'm you know what? I'm now going to embrace the baldness. And anyway, it's getting shaved off tomorrow. I'm going to look absolutely crazy. Tune in the next time you see me. I'm going to look like Taxi Driver. So anyway, Nacy, I want you to share with the audience your kind of inside take, your breakdown on how they got there, who's playing, and the winner and why. Come on, Nacy, go for it, man. Super Bowl. What number are we on? 50. What one is it, boys? Come on, you're Americans, guys. Come on. Super Bowl 54? No, 50. Yeah, nah. Yeah, 54. 53.
54.
54, I think so.
Super Bowl 54, and this is my 54 winter. And he's throwing it out there to make a prediction. Am I prophesizing? Maybe, maybe not. But I have no dog in this race. And the only way that I know about football and sports is because I have a fanatic for a dear friend. And he comes over and he shares with me. And I make predictions off of the iconography or the symbolism of what's going on. And so last week's game, we had the Packers against the Pirates, the Skull and Bones. And as we're looking at what's happening right now with the recent boogeyman, we've had an economic collapse where the commercialism, the Packers, because shipping and receiving went down the toilet bowl. And then on the other aspect, we had the Bills against the Chiefs. And in the systematic genocide of the Paleo-Americans here in North America, the first thing that they did is wiped out the Buffaloes, the Buffalo Bills. And they used that in efforts to wipe out the Chiefs. And so now this Super Bowl, right after Groundhog's Day, right after Candlemas, right after Bridget's Day, right after, what's it called? Invoke in the Scottish, I think. But it's pivotal that the next ceremony or ritual is going to happen where, once again, the powers that should not be, the Skull and Bones men, shall be supreme in their continuous efforts of wiping out the Chiefs, the Paleo-Americans.
So now I know who to put my money on, and what's the score going to be? I need to know what I need to make myself some money, man. Come on. What are we looking at here? I'll not hold you to it, Kev, but I am writing all this down. We'll be writing all this down. Not that I'll be checking to see that you got it all right. I'm only joking, Kev. I wouldn't do that. But I tell you what, that's a pretty cool
I'm going to say
there.
because of Tom Brady, and it's interesting. It's going to be played in Tampa Bay, TB, and Tom Brady, TB. And this is going to be his 7th Super Bowl win if he wins this. This is what I'm being told. So I'm going to put it out there that the spread is going to be divisible by 7, or the points are going to be divisible by 7 between each team. But I don't don't put any money on my predictions, please don't. And if you do and you win, more power to you. If you do and you lose, well, I keep telling you all, I'm the stupidest man I know.
Hey, listen, dude. Listen, I like how you got to where you're getting there. I don't know if it's going to be close or not, but that breakdown, it makes sense, Scott, right? But here's my question to you. Is it something, or are we, with our pareidolia obsessed minds, making patterns out of things that, yeah, the information's there, it's raw data, but we're the ones that are stringing it into a narrative.
That's the same. Sorry.
When you go, Scotty, or you, whatever, one of the two is.
That's the same thing that we do when we're creating the algorithms. It is a program that is trying to create predictability. And that's the same thing we do. This is where I talk about technological advancement is trying to mimic the natural world. The Fibonacci sequence trying to copy the golden mean spiral. So our greatest gift we have as labeled humans is pattern recognition, because when we recognize the pattern, we can make a better prediction of what the future is going to be. It's almost like if you know your past, you can prevent those challenges from happening in your future.
I like it, but still I'm convinced we see patterns that ain't there all the time. And that doesn't mean that like you're wrong on this case. I just mean in general terms, you know, when we come up with these.
Yeah, no, you're right, and no, Naysay is right too.
Yep.
You're both correct, because in the sense that even when you're talking about like a general artificial intelligence, or any of these AIs that do pattern recognition, a lot of those data sets and a lot of that data is thrown out. It's junk data. I mean, it's looking for patterns. It might find patterns, but then it doesn't.
Good example, Scott. The Xbox camera, when ghost hunters use it, they say that you can see stickmen when there's spirit entities in the room. And then 9 times out of 10, if there's like a wooden chair in the room, right? An entity's going to end up sitting on the chair, and it's always, it's a headless ghost. It's because the AI is recognizing 2 arms, 2 legs, roughly where it should be on a chair. It sees the back of the chair, mass, that's looking humanish as well. And the only bit it doesn't put the dot on is the head. It literally sees the chair as 3/4 of the human. And that's why I say to ghost hunters, just be careful. I mean, if it's on a chair, you've got to be very aware of why the AI is telling you that's a human. It's because it's finding legs, arms in the right place, you know?
Yeah. But to Naysay's point, we have that ability to read patterns and recognize patterns. That's a very it's a trait that humans have that we're very good at doing, and of course we try to mimic that with the artificial intelligence and all that stuff. So the point is that when you start seeing patterns and you start seeing a lot of this stuff, and you start pointing it out and kind of connecting the dots, does it lead somewhere? Maybe not, but the fact is that we have the ability to recognize a lot of this stuff, and it's very interesting to point a lot of this stuff. Especially
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Exactly as you stated, in the scientific method, we look and we see a pattern, we point out the pattern, we get somebody to substantiate the pattern, we recognize the cycle of the pattern, the theories made, and if it happens 100 times, isn't it then considered actual? You know, but there's always that anomaly. At some point, there is no scientific truth, because at any moment things can change. And this is where we go to the powers that should not be. If they know all of our history, if they keep digging up more and more of our history, then they know the pattern for a longer period of time. And the longer you know the pattern, the easier you can predict the future. And coming up in this pattern of the Super Bowl, when all eyes are watching the Super Bowl, as we were talking about in these movies, the entertainment of Batman, when they showed this horrific occurrence happening of these gatherings, when they throw out that fear factor of, yes, there's going to be this ooga booga happening. But also, if we think of Project Bluebeam, wouldn't it be an opportune time for the almighty heavenly son, his producer or his manager or his what do they call the people that help with the media, the handlers, you know, their publicist. When the almighty son's publicist gets a hold of the NFL and said, hey, how much will you give us for a commercial? And next thing you know, from the heavens comes the sun.
Very, very interesting to think about.
To imagine the second coming being during the Super Bowl.
That'd be crazy. Hey, with the way things have been going so far over the past year, I wouldn't put it past them to do anything at this point. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what symbolism we see in the commercials this year. You know that there's going to be I want to be algorithm friendly. I want to be friendly to the algorithm here. So let me.
Oh, I know you're very skilled. You're a Jedi in the linguistic Olympics.
Yes. There's going to be a lot of commercials that obviously are going to revolve around current events over the past year.
And moving into our new space age and everything that comes in between us and getting there.
Yeah, and so there's going to be a lot of stuff involving that and thanking everybody and telling everybody to.
We'll get an attaboy. We'll get a pat in the back and stronger together, baby.
Also reinforcing that, you know, you need to obey, you know, all of that. And so that'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of that will also spill over into the halftime show. That's where things is going to get really interesting, right? I think that's the
I like myself a bit of the halftime show, right enough. There's been a few we had the Janet and Timber Snake, remember that one where the dress accidentally on purpose came down and we got revealed. Yes. I tell you, there was a star, there was a sun shining on that one, if I remember rightly. Yep.
Yes.
And do you remember what came from that? The ultimate 7-minute delay.
Oh, there you go. You're number 7,
all of
Kev.
the entertainment, yeah.
Are you like, see if I ever get on the game show over here called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, if I get like a really hard question on the Super Bowl, can I have you as like my phone a friend?
Always, brother.
Yeah, well, I'm going to phone a friend. Nacy, get Nacy on the line. So, you know what, dude? If it happens, dude, come on the line and start speaking like Anishinaabe to them. It's going to totally bamboozle the viewing audience. Not that I don't even watch that game show, but it'd be nice to be on there just to have that moment, that special moment. So, yeah, the ceremony's pretty cool, but there's another thing you mentioned, Kev, that I know you want to get into. and it's the time of year, the Candlemas, that kind of thing. So why the significance of this? Because you had sent me a very comprehensive playlist today. You tried to derail me, Scott. Like, lunchtime on a Friday, try to send me information about a show that hasn't even taken place yet, and I'm thinking, oh no, this is confusing me, man. Put me all wrong. I came out in hives, and I thought, preparations. But no, I did have a little look at the first one, and it was talking about Candlemas, and it refers back to the kind of Tudor times, Kev. So educate us, take us away, brother.
Well, if we look at what's occurring at Candlemas, which is now called Groundhog's Day. So if we focus on Groundhog's Day, where did that come from? Well, Pennsylvania right now is currently the big deal about it because there's a groundhog that predicts the weather. If he sees its shadow, if it sees its darkness, it'll speculate more winter, less winter, spring is coming. So when this originated with the Lutherans or Germanic or Germany, over there in Europe, they had the hedgehog. And so they would go hunting the hedgehog and look for the hedgehog because the hedgehog would come out of hibernation around the middle of February to look for a mate. And this is a sign that spring is in the air. When they came to America, they couldn't find a hedgehog, and so they found the groundhog. And the interesting thing about a hedgehog is that the groundhog, see, I get confused with all of these critters. So here in America, the groundhog, when it starts coming out of its hibernation, it is around the 1st to the middle of February. And right now, since we just had the new moon, this last new moon was the pinnacle moon phase of February. Or my people, we call it the fish moon or the sucker fish moon.
January, you mean, yeah? January.
Nope, I mean February.
All right then. Okay, now I'm confused. So we had the February moon in January?
Yes, we're at the pinnacle of the new moon. Got you.
The
starting of the phase.
Got you.
Okay.
I got confused there, man. I'm thinking now he's really trying to derail me. He's throwing in like, he's going backwards and forwards. He's changing tense. Oh, no.
Like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Oh, yes. I like it.
The new moon is the starting of the cycle. So when the full moon, the pinnacle of the moon phase occurs, then you start looking for the signs, whether they be in the heavens or right where you're at, as above, so below. So the hibernating animals are going to start coming awake soon. But the Anishinaabe, we knew at this pinnacle moon that it's getting closer to the end of the winter and all the supplies are getting used up. But we know that the ice is thick enough on the lakes that we can go ice fishing, or spear fishing is what we did, and ice fishing. And so at this time is when you have to do it, because the next moon, which is called the bear moon, is when the bears start coming out of hibernating. And you do not want to be ice fishing when a bear is going to see you laying right there in ice fishing.
I would argue you don't want to be anywhere near a bear when it's woken up hungry after hibernation, fishing or otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when we look at these pinnacle moments of the cycle of the year, we know that it happens between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And so Groundhog's Day, Candlemas Day, was when people would light their candles. And back in the day, candles were used as a measurement of time. So at sunrise or at sunset, they would light a 8-hour candle or a 12-hour candle, and then they would see the length of night and the length of day. So then they can start calculating for the equinox. When you look at it from the Christianity, Jesus was born on the 25th, allegedly. And if you look at 40 days after that, it's Groundhog Day. And in the ancient religions, back to Abrahamic and the I Am, that your male son, after 40 days, the mother was considered more cleansed, and they would introduce their son to the temple or the tabernacle. Ironically, when a woman or a female child is born, a woman isn't supposedly clean until after 60 days. So 40 days after Christmas is February 2nd. Now we get into this whole thing of the month of February 2nd. Why is it 28 days? And how does it correlate to that V Day, the St. Valentine's? But going back to February 2nd, in the Celtics, the Druids, they had Bridget's Day, you know, where Bridget was in Ireland, and she was a goddess of foraging fires and smelting metals. And I think with Scottish, it was Involk. Does that sound right? I'm
not sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not grasping that one.
I'll need to
but they
ask
also,
somebody that knows more about Scotland. I mean, I just live here, dude.
So then, if we look at the whole metaphor of lighting the candle, you know, a candle is man's way of not being afraid of the dark. It's also the metaphor of man's own darkness, where he can be the light. The Jesus, the Messiah of the Bible, was considered the light. You know, and then we look at the heavenly sun. The sun chases away the darkness, the setting sun. So we set our intentions for the cycle. And as we get to this point of where we're like, okay, how many days?
It's okay. It's just me dancing like a pineapple, Kevin. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Tracy, for the sticker chat. On you go, Kev. I'm engrossed here. This is really interesting.
So as we are setting that prediction of when is the next ritual, when is the next ceremony, because it's all about patterns, you know, so we want to start being aware of those patterns, so then the next ritual occurs. Back in ancient times, when the humans would introduce their children to the elders, because of these prophecies, because of these predictions, like the ancient texts where they said, oh, a Messiah was going to be coming. And so these priests would be, if it is a male offspring, it needs to be brought to us right away and examined and checked for special markings, check for special attributes, making sure that the circumstances of the man's projective force is properly taken care of.
Well, I have to just jump in here before we go to the break. Jules, she has said to thank you. She's backing up everything you're saying here, and it's in bulk. I think that's what she's saying it's called here, in bulk. Groundhog Day, 33rd day of the year. And if we come over here quickly before we go to the break, Candlemas, it says also known as Feast of the Presentation of Jesus Christ, Feast of the Purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and Feast of the Holy Encounter. It's a Christian holiday commemorating the presentation of Jesus at the temple, and it is based upon the account of the presentation of Jesus in Luke, is it chapter 2, verses 22 to 40. In accordance with Leviticus, it says a woman was to be purified by presenting a lamb as an offering, and either a young pigeon or dove as sin offering. And 33 days after a boy's... Oh, nice. Yes, indeedy. It falls on February the 2nd, which is traditionally the 40th day of the conclusion of the Christmas Epiphany season. So, yeah, we could get into that more, but Scotty Lopez, look at him. He's future-proofing me there. We're going to write a book, me and you, Scott. Me and you are going to write a book, right? And we're going to call it Algorithm Friendly. That's what we're going to do.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to write, we're going to like the thesaurus for staying safe online.
We know how to dodge and weave and intertwine and serpent run and do all that crazy stuff through the algorithm minefield.
You see all the years looking at AI and machine learning and all that good stuff. You see Nano Girls listening right now. You see, I tell you, we got ahead of this curve. Never get ahead of the algorithm, but there's ways to play with it. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere. 1 hour down, 2 to go on your Freaky Friday. Doodle-doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo. Well, that went out on air. I don't know why I done that. Doodle-doodle-doo.
last thing they hear before the commercials. Doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo.
No idea, man. Yes, 33.
Hey.
Excuse me. 33 human vertebrae from John Nelson in the chat room. That 33 is everywhere, dude. It's everywhere.
Yeah, that 33 number seems to be quite just that's just randomly popping up just everywhere.
I must
you know?
admit, I lost a mouthful of beverage when I was listening to Chris Gio recently, and somebody was asking about TFR, and he was asking about how many shows on the network, and guys, Chris throws out their 33, and the chat room started going crazy, and Mad Gio, he just doubled up because we know how it rolls. You know, we kind of interweave these numbers and little symbols, and it's for, you know, to give you that kind of deeper, almost, I don't know, it's a laugh for those that know that we're just kind of like having a bit of a laugh ourselves. We're tipping our hat to some of the quirks and the craziness that goes on in the genre that we find ourselves, right? You gotta laugh. You gotta have a laugh.
The conspirasphere, I
Yeah.
guess is what you could call it. You know,
Tinfoilonia land.
yeah.
Well, the profit is in the comeback. And if you give that little shimmer of light and you let somebody else have that desire to open up the door to see a little bit more, you know, because they can be like, oh, Naysay is ex-military. Oh, he must be part of it. Because I've gotten those emails, Kev.
Oh,
now.
dude, trust me, listen. You don't think people have called me out, the guy that talks about mimetic warfare and talks about 77 Squadron, 13 Signal Regiment, and I point out that I was very proudly in the Royal Signals, and you don't think I've had those emails every week? Come on, man.
Don't trust him, people. Don't trust him.
That Lee Veltman, he does it in other people's chat rooms. I'll be watching a live stream, I'll say hello, Lee, and it'll go on to that kind of topic, and he'll just say 77th Kev, and I'm like, oh no, and they all sets people off, man. Are you that guy? You that guy that used to have that show? But I said, you used to have that show? Yeah, cheeky buggers. That means you stopped listening.
Can't trust him. Kevin sold a phone box.
I know, dude. I worked for Marconi as well. Holy shamoly, man.
Yeah, formal Marconi employee.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have actually got
works
the
for the government?
backstory of a spook. I'm telling you, man.
I was to say your ties are almost as deep as Joe's Department of Defense ties.
Some things I can say and some things I can't. All right.
My older brother, he took me off his email list because he was going for a job in Germany with the embassy. And
Probably
he's like,
best. Probably best, Kev.
Right.
Yeah. All
My
joking
emails
aside.
have been.
All joking aside, boys, I tell you, that's probably a wise move. Right, we're getting ready to come back. Hang on.
All right.
dare you?
There we go. There we go. And that's been the creepiest thing so far this Freaky Friday. Big shout out to Greta. She's an adult now. She had her birthday. She's an adult. It's not making fun of children anymore. Come on. Give me a joke, man. Come on. You're allowed to have a laugh. But Candlemas, Groundhog Day. Scott, Groundhog Day to me should one day. I live in Groundhog Day. I would imagine a lot of people right now with what's been going on for a little while around these parts around the world. A lot of people feel like a bit of Groundhog Day going on. But then you get into this deeper. You see, this is where you get the multiple levels of things, right? There's surface levels, and then there's all these rituals. There's the reasons why we have these holidays and things.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it shows that there's a lot of these ceremonies and things that there's more backstory to them, right? Just like Naysay was kind of getting, into the real sort of backstory behind Groundhog Day and what it truly, represents and stuff like that. And you got to wonder about a lot of these sort of events or ceremonies that on the surface seem kind of benign, but then you end up finding out that they have like a much deeper sort of backstory and root meaning behind them. And I think we experience a lot of that nowadays, right? In this modern era where I think a lot of these sort of older esoteric kind of rituals and ceremonies have been rebranded and repackaged in a much more kind of sterilized, squeaky clean, it's just a fun little ceremony thing, and people don't really realize what they're actually sort of engaging in, and so it is interesting to see. And I think that's also, going back to the whole Super Bowl thing and these halftime ceremonies or these halftime shows. See, there that was a Freudian slip, because it really is. It's a halftime ceremony. It's not a halftime show. It's a ceremony that they're having, and everybody who's watching it and everybody who's paying attention to it, right? You're paying.
Where attention goes, energy flows.
Yes,
Wow.
where your attention goes, energy flows, and
I've got all the kind of vocabulary for this wooery, Scott. I like it, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you can predict the currency from the bank's perspective.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Indeed. Yes.
Yep. And so people are engaging in a ritual, they're engaging in a ceremony, whether they realize it or not, because they're feeding into it. All of those millions of people tuning in on the television to
all of
watch
our source code been upgraded, Scott. Our subconscious. I was thinking about this the other day, right? I'll get your thought on it. I was thinking all we are is a brain. You know how we laugh, Scott? We're a brain in a jar. But literally that's all we actually are, right? Think about it. Everything outside of that is just peripherals and input-output kind of things, so that we can have this machine, this brain housing unit that we've got, right? And literally, we're like, if you want to draw a human, I think you'd be best drawing a brain. Because that's all we are. This is where everything takes place. Every little thing.
Think of your brain being the inside of your computer case, right? The motherboard and the components inside of your PC. And then the rest of your body just being, the keyboard, the mouse, the microphone, the
what
camera.
If we came from a planet where there's just brains, and we decided to come down here and we managed to play about with the DNA to create something that would house this stupid brain. But they cut it in half. They cut it in half, right? So the hemispheres wouldn't quite wire up together because they don't want us figuring out where we came from. They can't have some idiotic Scottish guy in a smart city talking about how really in reality we just come from a giant planet of brain.
You know, Kev, that makes for a really, really, really good B sci-fi film.
Doesn't
you
it?
know, the attack.
It's like
of
we
the
go out and
brain.
buy our consoles, right? We go out and buy our consoles to play our games. Maybe where we come from, they go out and buy a bloody wet and warm quantum computer. It's just a brain in a jar, man. And then they plug that into their machine. I'm telling you, dude.
A glob of fat
Exactly.
in a
Exactly.
Copic.
Come on.
So
you go.
could a door be ajar? Could the portal be always open or forced open for entrance or exit?
Mine is purely an exit portal for anyone who might be wondering out there. But talking of portals, Brent Thomas, yeah, Paranormal portal. What's wrong with me? Did I just brain
Glitch
fart
in the
Brent's
Matrix.
name?
I think you just traveled through a portal, Kev. I think
You know
that's
what
what
it is?
happened.
Brent Thomas, right? Right?
Brent
Yes.
Thomas,
Right.
deja vu.
There's another dude I know called Brett Phillips. And my brain went, ooh,
Ah.
oh. And when I said Brent,
Phillips
my
light
brain
bulb?
said that sounded like Brett. And then my other half of my brain said, well, it better be Phillipson.
That's what I said, but both batches of neurons fired at the same time, and it was like, eh.
Now the guy with the brain that bought me, the guy with the jar, he's kicking his mate going, did you see what my one got up to there? Look when you poke it like that. Look at this shit. Look, neat. Oh.
Would you poke the brain with a stick if it was in a jar?
The way I've been thinking the past couple of days, I actually think I probably would. I probably would, dude. Yeah. How did we get here? How did I get into my...
I was just thinking the same. How did we get from Super Bowl halftime show to brains in jars?
I don't know.
Week
I don't
after
know.
week,
I don't know.
week after week, we keep thinking it's the same old thing, like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day. Because can we even find the parallel to the tarot cards?
Oh, I got a
In the
tarot card
movie?
pulled for me last night, dude. And the tarot card had spirals on it. The night before that, I was talking about spirals and portals with Jimmy Jeans. This dude had like he had a white horse and a black horse. I've got a thing about white horses. Usually they've got a big horn on their head, but I can go with the more earthly type equine version of horse. I don't need a unicorn, but it would be nice. But I tell you, in this tarot card, it was where are we here? The Emperor, Scott. White
Ooh.
horse, black horse. There was eagles. There was a mountain lion. Yeah. Oh, I tell you, man. Tell you, Mary Tessina brings the deep woo, Scott. Deep woo. So, do you like the? What do you boys think of the tarot then? I know, Kev. I'll go to you first, then, Kev, because you're into the tarot. What do you make of it all, man?
Well, I used to have the Rider's Waite deck, and then I got the medicine cards, and then I got the Sacred Path cards, and then I got really freaked out because I was more fortunate in my looking at the patterns, and especially when it was like my own, because I would pull it for myself, and then as you go through the day of experience, it would just it got to the point where I put them down because it freaked me out a couple times. And
Oh, no, come on, I need to press you on that. What did you mean freaked you out, Kev? What was that? What kind of stuff?
well, just kind of like
Because
the
you don't
progression
freak out
of
easy, dude. I mean, you're not exactly a shrinking violet. I mean, you're not going to cower easily, so this must have been something pretty substantial.
Um, do you remember that movie, Club? The book was called Club Dumas, and it was with Johnny Depp. I definitely playing card, love the man. But in that movie, Ninth Gate, and then there they had pictures, and in it the iconography that correlated with the tarot cards, and it in a sense was like predicting somewhat the progression of my experiences, from getting a job to getting sick to getting into a band, a couple times, getting the devil's card, and well, with the band, and this is my woo, okay? So the band was starting to get successful. The name of the band was Alternative. I was the singer and the songwriter. And we did this show at the Mirage in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and my guitarist went to go get drinks, and while he was getting drinks, some guy approached him, and he brought him into the green room. So I'm in the green room, facing, my back is against the door, and I'm getting that feeling again. So my back's against the door, and I'm talking to my drummer, because I can't confirm or deny that at this particular show, I was doing more than just putting my cap on. I was finding the stem and the roots.
As you do, yes.
As I do, yes. And so as I'm talking to my drummer, and before the door even starts opening, I just get this feeling of just dread, just like darkness. And then my guitarist, well, not my guitarist, the guitarist comes in with this guy, and he had this smile on it, and it made me think of Al Pacino in The Devil's Advocate when he
Brilliant
had
movie.
that. Right. And that's where I felt. I felt like this dude's a demon or possessed by a demon, and he wanted to give us a contract, and I wanted nothing to do with this guy. And
deep woo, man, deep woo.
He was talking about what he could do for us as the band and the potential, and he was just stroking us, and trying to give us his cards and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, that's okay, appreciate it, but yeah. And so he was very noticeable irritated with me, and the guitarist wanted to be a sensation. I sang because I loved singing. That was it. I loved singing and sharing my messages in the music. And so there was always a challenge between me and the guitarist, because I didn't care if I was a rock star or not, and looking at Hollywood right now, I'm glad I didn't, especially if you get Rio, incredible gentleman, and discuss about that stuff. But yeah, so right after that occurred, it was like a second plummeting of my health, and part of the cards and everything were saying of this battle I'm going to have of light and dark, and I wish to be a defender of the light, and in that defending of the light, there's opposition, darkness, and I do not care to fight, but I care to defend for the light. And it felt like I was under attack when my illness got so bad within a short period of time that I found myself in a wheelchair and ousted out of the band. And and I guess a little bit more history, the band, within like 6-7 months after I left the band, they broke up and everything. So that was a little ego. Of course, I wanted them to be successful, but, a little bit of my ego and a little bit of like, na boo boo, see what happened to you. But Yeah, so I put down the tarot cards once in a while. Very seldom will I pull anything out anymore. They're a great tool of divination. You know,
Definitely
I
a
think
tool. Definitely a tool, Kev. Yep, definitely.
and like any other person that utilizes the tool, the more you utilize the tool, the more accustomed you get to it, and the better you master the tool.
Yep.
You know, and it's that whole, just like the algorithm, the pattern recognition. You know, after doing so many pulls of the card or doing so many readings, you can make these assumptions, and sometimes you're wrong. And the biggest challenge is admitting when you're wrong, because there's nothing worse than giving somebody poor advice.
Very good point. Very good point. What'd you make of them, Scott? Neil Tarot?
I think there's something to it.
Mhm.
Definitely,
Yep.
you know.
I think that comes
also-
from some old kind of knowledge, Scotty. Some old kind of info.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, and it definitely depends on the person doing the readings. You know, their intent, their abilities. It's just like, you know, I would say I would put it on the same kind of level with you know, like people who say, you know, claim to be psychics and stuff like that. Of course, you're going to have people that, you know, you're going to have the ones that are legit, and you're going to have the ones that aren't. You know,
Well, even
people who actually, the people who actually have the skill and the ability to, you know, read the cards and know what they're doing, as opposed to people that are just kind of, you know, they don't understand, but they're still kind of like putting it out there like they know what they're doing, you know. So you know,
that
like,
is that wonderful desire for money. You know, like Barnum said, you know, there's a sucker born every minute. And we sometimes have such a deep hunger or thirst for knowledge, whether it be actual knowledge or the supernatural or metaphysical and stuff. There are people that are going to take advantage of that deep desire.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate, because there are people that are very talented, very gifted, and more times than not, they're not looking for a monetary reward. They're wanting to do it for the betterment of the entity.
Exactly. And most of the time, you know, to your point there, most of the time, the people that actually do have the ability, or they do have the gift, they're not looking to be, you know, they're not looking to have the spotlight on them. They don't want any attention. They're not trying to make money off of any of this stuff or whatever. So, you know, your first red flag is if the person is monetizing this stuff and making a killing off of it, then chances are you're dealing with
Shenanigans and grifting. Oh, we're back there again.
Yeah, shenanigans
It's like
and grifting.
Mary, who hopefully you'll get to spend time with her next month, Scott, or when she comes on one of these times. Mary Dacina, she goes on with Joe Roop on Light in the Void, over on Fringe FM, Ryan's network. Big shout to Ryan and the team over there. I'd looked at, she'd contacted me, and I'm very wary when I go into these kind of shows, these topics, because there's so many people out there that tell you they know what they're doing, but really, and it's not to say they don't know what they're doing, but some are better than others, some are more genuine. Yeah. And we've had Mary on a number of times now, we've had the phones open. I know our good friend Algo, he's phoned in a couple of times, and he's talking away to Mary about the personal reading he gets. It definitely resonates with him and the other people that phone in. And I would say 95% of the people that have phoned so far, they've absolutely known what she's on about. And then maybe once or twice there's been, well, I don't know quite what it refers to. But that for me, that and the personal ones I've had, I call her Scary Mary. You know what I mean? So there is definitely something about all of this, and some people are definitely just more attuned to these
Yeah.
messages, these energies, these entities, all of it.
And that goes to the tarot card thing as well. I
Yep.
think there are just certain people that have that ability to where, you know, they're pulling those cards, and those, you know, there's something that they're channeling or something that is going on to where the cards that they're laying out is truly representing something that is going on in that person's life, or that something is to come in that person's life, or things that have happened, you know, in the past in that person's life, and you know, whatever gift that person has is translating through those cards.
Exactly. So I mean,
guess
we've
you could
got
say
like
it's
tools to measure the kind of energies in the physical world, but we're not talking about physical. We're talking metaphysical. And you really
Yeah,
need people that are more in tune with that they can tap into that, and away you go.
well, like Nase said, you know, the cards are just a tool. You know, it's the person utilizing the tool. You know, is that person, you know, anybody can use a tool, but you know, is the person skilled at using that tool? You can use a hammer and, you know, bang away at things, and but if you're really good at using the hammer, you can, you know, only chip away at certain little things instead of plowing the whole thing down. You know what I mean? Or a chisel. You can hand somebody a chisel, but they're not going to carve a motif into the side of rock. It takes a skilled individual to do something like that, you know. So
There's a precious gift that each individual has, to where they would be fortunate to, when they pick it up, whether it's painting, drawing, singing, chiseling rock, building a house, you know, taxes, you know,
After
whatever.
Effects.
Everyone has that gift, and it's trying to find that gift. And if we look at it in the metaphysical, we have these tools of divination. And the one thing that I've witnessed is that when you have a tool, you can focus on that tool for the energy and the power. Where you really become gifted is when you don't need the tool, and you can focus that energy and power.
But Nacy, there is no tool. There is no
Only
tool.
me.
Where
in
does it?
that
Where does it take us
33
back
degree
to? Where does it take us back
of
to,
the
Nacy?
Ark
No, it
of
takes
the
us right back
Covenant.
to the brain. The brain. There you go. We're back at
In
that
a
brain
jar.
again. Brain in a jar. Tools in your brain. No, now, the tarot. Yeah, I definitely think there's something to it. I remember looking into it at one point, thinking, you know, you could teach yourself the tarot. I think there's got to be something in you to begin with. Call it
That's what
something
I'm saying.
witchy, something wizardy. That you've got to have
There's
something
just-
about you.
it seems like, you know, because I've known a few individuals over the years that were really good at the tarot thing, and I think it's just a natural born ability that these people have, to where they pick up the cards and it's just something natural that comes through them. You have to naturally have that gift, like I said, you know, because I've seen other people using tarot cards and trying to do the thing, and it's just like, no, you don't have it. You just you don't have whatever it is to do this, you know. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing, and you know, being half Mexican, you know, there's a lot of superstition down there and stuff, and the tarot card reading is a big thing
Is it?
with Mexicans. Yes. Tarot card readings, palm readings is a big thing too.
Well, listen, Pam
But would
reading,
you-
Pam reading Kevin will take us nicely to the break, right? But this ties in with what we've been talking about here. I used to think a lot of this was hocus pocus, and when I was in the army, went to the Highland Games, went home on leave with my girlfriend at the time. We thought we'd be smart because we seen there was a gypsy there, one of the kind of fortune tellers, and we thought, right, we'll do it right. You go in first, and I'll go in a couple hours later, so there's no looking out the window and seeing we're a couple, that kind of thing. When I eventually went in, she says, "Oh, whoa. I love a man in uniform." I go, "Whoa, what's that all about?" And then by the time she left, she looked at my hand and she goes, "Well, whoa, there's two paths for you, Sonny." She says, "One path, you stay in the army, you get your career, you go that way. But on the other path," and I'll never forget it, she pulled back the curtain. She said, "See all those people out there? You're going to be talking to all these people one day." And I burst out laughing. And here I am right now with Kevin, Nacy, and Scotty Lopez, talking to more people than she pointed to out that window that day. Make of that what you will, because it gives me goosebumps. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
It's amazing how people have been
There
raving
he is,
about
Mr.
Dyatlov all over
G.
Facebook. They've been posting.
There we go. That's a true story, hand on heart, man. I bet my mum even remembers that as well. Yep.
So if my prediction for the Super Bowl is wrong, I'm just going to claim that I pushed the button and changed the timeline. Okay?
That's cool. I like that divergent timeline, Scott. I told you that'd become a thing in 2021. See, now somebody in the chat room saying, "Wow." Honestly, Ness, Lloyd, wow. That's like the... I think if I had to pick the weirdest woo thing, I think that would be right up there. Because, like, that was, like... At the time, you got to remember, I was, like, a mind-controlled bullet. I was looking for bad things to happen in the world so I could go and take it out on people. It's what I was at the time, and I had no intentions of ever getting out of the army. Oh, hey, what are you talking about? That's why I laughed. And at the time... This was like old Kev that would get really nervous and shy and couldn't speak to a room of people like to make a presentation or anything like that. It used to kill me. So the thought at the time then of me speaking to any more than even 10 people was laughable. Who's laughing now? Who's laughing? I'm telling you, man, she was on the ball, Scotty.
Wow. So I mean, there you go. I mean, like I said, there's some that are legit and some aren't. I mean, and she probably wasn't one of these that ends up being on TV, having some kind of a television show, and and all of this stuff. She's just kind of and you know what? Look, there's nothing wrong with monetizing your gift either.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that just because you make a little money off of it makes you a horrible person either, and that somehow that discredits you. I'm not saying that at all.
Lying about it to make money out of it.
But
ooh,
if you start seeing some signs of a little bit of just like over promotion and a lot of this hype, and there's a whole media train around it, and it's just like, I don't think that person's that legit,
Just because they've got dream catchers everywhere and pyramids and crystals lying around and star charts and things like that, and possibly a brain in a jar somewhere up on a shelf. That doesn't mean just because they've got all the gear doesn't necessarily mean.
Look at all your grifters.
There you go, boys and girls. My mum, sorry, Pearly butting in again, just to confirm. Yes, she remembers the fortune teller, and she was spot on. Oh my, goosebumps again. Crazy day that. Crazy day, Scott. And you know what?
But I'm starting to feel guilty as you're describing my household, Kev.
What's that?
With all of my crystals and dream catchers.
No, but I'm saying, Kev, you see some of these people, right, on their websites and things like that, and it looks like they've got all the gear, and come and spend the money. I'll tell you everything you need to know. But really, that's in the corner of their room, and they're not even into all the stuff that they've got behind them when they're doing the show and all the rest of it. So, your heart's and all of that, dude. So that's definitely not a go at you, man. That's the grifters out there.
But then the question would be...
Here we go, boys. Here we go. 2 seconds. I've almost missed it. There we go. Welcome back. Not the one I thought it was, but
How dare you?
that was what I was looking for. We're in the second half of Freaky Friday, boys. Second half already. We've done Super Bowls, we've done Candlemasses, we've done tarot readings. I managed to inadvertently, on accident, offend Kevin during the breaks. I was talking about people with dream catchers and pyramids lying around everywhere. Kevin,
Never.
just promise
never
me, just
offended,
promise
brother.
me, Kevin. Promise me you never do the show with a chick with like some kind of rabbit foot around your neck or anything like that.
Well, this is the big question. Would you, gentlemen, receive the handshake, or would you get into the sarcophagi for the
No.
magic, for the tapping, for the deeper woo? Because how deep will they let us go? Will we
we're-
anger somebody?
No, we don't anger anyone on here. This is the least divisive show that we do all week. We don't anger anyone. We're very milquetoast. We're very keen not to step on any toes. And we love the algorithm around here.
Let's
Yes.
say mostly the algorithm. Those are the main toes you don't want to step on.
We don't
We
even get
listen
near
to the alarm.
we don't even get near the feet of the algorithm anymore. I don't even know if it's got feet. That's how far away the toes are of the algorithm. But
We
talking
listen
of
to
toes,
the alarm.
talking of toes,
And-
right? Talking of toes.
Sorry.
Yes, indeed. You're gonna have to stay off the tips, Kevin. You're just getting too boisterous on these Fridays. Cracking a whip here. Talking of toes and fingers. Jimmy Jeans really weirded me out the other night. Talking
Oh.
about Chaco Canyon in New Mexico and the Pueblan people there who have got cave drawings in their dwellings and etchings, like carvings into stone, of what is undoubtedly six-toed and six-fingered entities. Now, what on earth is that all about? And I'm going to start pulling up the pictures of the site in a minute.
Oh.
Why? This is a new kind of thing to me. I've heard of the Anasazi before. He was bringing up them as well, right? But the whole location and this kind of six-fingered cave art and things, Scott. It's happening,
Well,
man.
wow. Okay, so first of all,
I
I've
dropped
been
the
in-
woo hammer. Yes, we've set
Yeah.
the anchor's up. We're going for Speculation Island, man. We're making the home run.
Oh, I like this. I like this divergent turn you've made down this.
Somebody had to do it, boys.
It's
We were
packed.
all staring at the rudder, going, "Where are we going here?"
It's okay. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
good. I like it. So first off, I've been to New Mexico a couple times in my life. I've got some family that lives down in Hobbs, New Mexico, my cousin and stuff. So, when I was young, I went to Carlsbad Caverns down there. Speaking of caves and stuff like that, and for those of you who haven't been to Carlsbad Caverns, that place is amazing. The formations in those caves, you know, the stalagmites and the stalactites that have formed over, you know, thousands of years, millions of years.
I'll post some images over to our Wookiees at TFR. They're incoming. You'll get to see what Scott's talking about here. I love all this
Yeah.
underground kind of cavey stuff, Scott. Amazing,
Now,
like an
we
alien
went-
world.
When we went, I was real little. I was probably only like 5 or 6 years old, and I remember being really, really scared because, like, it, you know, you go into a place like that, you go into a cave like that when you're a little kid, it freaks you out. You know, it's so overwhelming. I just remember being really scared being in there, but really fascinated at the same time. You know, it was just kind of like mind blowing. But yeah, so
Whoa.
yeah, look at that, dude.
Looks like a big skeleton or something, man.
weird, dude. The formations, and now you can see why I probably was really freaked out in there when I was real little. Just because probably I'm sure a lot of pareidolia was going on in my mind at the time, and all of that stuff. But so they found these cave, or was it these drawings in what were these caves that they found them in New Mexico?
Okay, I'm gonna dig it up. It's Chaco Canyon. There we go. Footprints.
That's the one with the apartment complex looking thing that's built into the side of the.
Yes, Kevin. Yeah. I'm trying to find a good picture of the actual complex type thing, but there's that there. I'll bring up some of their glyphs.
Yeah.
Is this familiar, Scott?
This place. I've seen this place before on a show. In fact, David Childress, the dude that's on Ancient Aliens. I think they were out there.
Right.
Or it might have been Olsen. What may have been out there. But anyways, yeah, it's interesting that there's these representations of six-fingered and six-toed entities, because that all of a sudden throws in the whole topic of giants, in my opinion. We're talking about like some Nephilim type stuff.
I mean, we see this one here as well. This is, look at this. There's like footprints going up the wall.
Yeah. Now, isn't this something that Joe Joseph has spoke about many, many times with the six fingers and six toes and
to the point where we actually made fun of him about it? Yeah.
Yeah. But
is that called poly? I can't remember the name of that for six fingers. Polydactyloid.
Yeah, something polydactyl. I think. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Well, the ancient peoples of there, the Olmecs, the Toltecs, then they talk about the Pueblos, the Anasazis, the Dene, the Nez Perce. A lot of them were part of the same language group and of more times. And as America got bigger and bigger and the frontiersmen went deeper and deeper, they found these huge cities where assumingly the people just disappeared. Like they couldn't find any mass graves around them. And I think that's one of the same occurrences with that particular area that you're talking about. They seemingly like disappeared. And then if you put on top of that with this reverence to entities off of this planet that came and visited throughout Paleo-American areas, they talk about these six-fingered entities. And for the life of me, I can't remember the Anishinaabe of the taller people or the giants or the giant humanoids, but
yeah, Jimmy was talking about these giants, Nacy, Scotty, and he was referring to them as being extreme meat eaters. Yeah.
Yes.
Extra. Yeah. Carnivorous.
Extra carnivorous activities. Yes.
I like it. Very clever, boys. Very clever.
Yes.
Actually, when you look at this from above, the settlement, it could actually be like the plan or the outline of a set of false teeth for a giant. You see it goes along there. It's like I know. It was poor. It wasn't one of my better jokes, but hey.
I mean, you had to get that mud fossil jab in there somewhere.
I'm not a mud fossil man, as you know, Scott. I'm not a mud fossil man. However, However, who knows what lies beneath? You know what I'm saying? Who knows?
Yeah, it was Brad Olson that was out at this location.
Oh, big up to Brad. Great guy. Great guy.
And there's just a lot of not just the six-fingered and toed entities being represented, there's all kinds of petroglyphs out there that represent like star people, and by all accounts what you're seeing represented out there is some kind of interaction with entities that are from somewhere else, whether it be the sky or underground or wherever. There was some kind of interaction going on between the original dwellers of this planet, and living on the surface, and then some other entity, some other beings of some kind. There was some kind of co-inhabitants occurring. And I think these representations of six-fingered and six-toed entities, that totally, to me, just is more kind of validation of the whole giant thing, the whole Nephilim thing, and that these entities had six fingers and six toes and were involved in extra carnivorous activities. There was a lot of craziness going on at the time, and you probably didn't want to stumble across a tribe of these things, a group of these things would not be a good day. And
that was one of the control mechanisms of the early slaves, that they told the slaves, don't run away, because a lot of the Indians are carnivorous extremists.
You see, and I bet you those slaves, where they'd come from, I bet you that there was long-running stories and myths of similar giant-type entities, because I don't think they were confined to one place on Earth, even if they came from Earth. The giant thing, it's really, really interesting, because I've had Ken and me on the show, and I tell you what, he makes a stunning case for what we would call Nephilim DNA, being totally taken out at the time of the flood, right? And I can go with that, but I still think there's more going on with giants than just that one instance.
Oh, definitely. Oh,
You
well,
know what I'm
look,
saying?
I think it's with anything else. There's going to be remnants left behind.
Yep,
You're never
yep.
you're never going to wipe the slate completely clean, and that's why there's always remnants of the old that still manage to permeate through the new, which is why we have those memories still, right? Just like when the Atlantean civilization or whatever was wiped out, there had to be some remnants left behind. There had to be like maybe survivors or whatever.
And then amongst those survivors, Scott, something else I heard the other day for you to think about this. I think it was I'm sure it was Jay Widener and Randall Carlson who were talking about catastrophism. They were talking about how not only is there just like a remnant, like a small number that make it through, but then lots of them have got like amnesia from whatever it is that's taken place, whether it's something solar, the flipping of the poles, maybe it does something. You've said that before. What does that do to your brain if you're here at the time, So you're not only that, you've only got even fewer people that actually remember kind of the world that had just been.
Think about it, Kev. If you managed to survive the catastrophe, right? Like you made it through everything else, whatever the flood or we'll say pole flip for an example. Just this would be a good example, going to your point there. we don't know, like you said, what it does to the human brain, how tied into the magnetic field we really are. And if there was this pole flip were to occur, would it just act like running a magnet over a hard drive? You know what I mean? And whoever's left, the remnants that remained, it's just like they were reset, or it's like somebody hit the reset button in their brains, and maybe all that's left is just the core instinct to survive, right? You go on autopilot, and your core instinct to survive is all that remains, which basically means you start from nothing, right? You start fresh. You go from like the level of just like caveman living in the woods, right? Because you don't remember
You're
anything
back to
from
strangers turning up with stories about things of long lost lands and times forgotten. And you're thinking, that maniac over there, man. Is he talking about dragons and
but it's
flying
those remnants
cars and things like that? Come on, man.
It's remnants that get left behind, and maybe some of the maybe some of the ones that maybe some of the ones that survived, maybe the magnet didn't completely erase the hard drive.
Could have been underground. Could be a number of reasons, Scott. Something,
Yeah.
Yep, they might have been down a mine.
And then that knowledge ends up becoming that occulted knowledge for the new civilization that's beginning to emerge and pull itself out of the darkness. There's these whispers, Kev, whispers of knowledge of old, and
when the individuals get sent beyond the tribe for an adventure, and they go and they experience the many different things as their travels continue, the electromagnetic attraction of watching Aphrodite, gentlemen, do her pole flip, and the causation of that pole flip dance, and when they come back, the elders would be, what did you see? What did you witness? And maybe they may embellish a little bit, where, I met this guy that was 30 feet tall, or I met this horse that had a horn out of the center of its head. They have to give some kind of story to validate coming back to the tribe after their adventures. So is this that whole telephone game, or sharing the oral traditions that they were all from a little speckle of truth?
Oh, they definitely all contain a speckle of the truth.
Yeah, there's too many of these stories globally that have too many similarities and are describing the exact same thing, to where if it's embellishment, if it's embellishment, then wow, I mean, all of these people are coming up with the same sort of embellishment, all over the place. So
what else makes sense about this as well, Scott? The way we're talking here, things going to sound pretty dark here, troops. Pretty dark. Warning. Doom and gloom alert. But,
here we go.
We definitely see there's a cycle of cataclysms, right? I mean, I think it's irrefutable. You look at Randall Carlson, you can listen to people like Graham Hancock, all these people that take you way, way, way back. And even then, these guys probably know there's periods in history and civilizations that we've no idea about. There's no remnant. They just ended, Cyclical, restarting the cycle. It all ties in, I'm sorry, but it all ties in again with the whole simulation, dude. It's like a regular rebooting, resetting. Yeah.
Yeah. Think of it. So if you're gonna run a simulation, and you're going to try and, like, say your goal is to find the average outcome of said simulations, for whatever reason, right? So you're gonna run.
You set the parameters to what you want them.
say you're going to run 1,000 simulations or something like that, right? Well, you've got to be able to run those simulations within a chunk of time, right? You've got to put a certain beginning and end to each simulation. Say, for example, I'm going to run 1,000 simulations and run each simulation for 10 minutes. Okay, so 10 minutes is your allotted chunk of time for the simulation to run. I'm just using a general example here, right? So,
11,000 years then.
Yeah. So
we'll go for that.
Depending on which ruler.
Yeah, we'll go for that.
Of measurement.
Yeah. Okay. So, 1 minute equals like 1,000 years or whatever, So your simulation runs, the 10 minutes is over. Boom, simulation is over. Simulation starts over again.
Simulation runs, Scott, right? The on occasion, it builds up, it slows down. Information, everything's information in our universe. Everything, and over the period of the cycle of said round of the simulation increases all the time, exponentially, data. It must reach a point where it gets saturated as well. If what we're saying here is right, to the point where it would slow it down and corrupt the data that they're able to extract from it. Build in a reset.
So when the game is finished, then they clear the board and they set up the next game and they set up the next players and everything has been reset for the next game.
Yeah, kind of.
I wouldn't even say it's an issue of like overloading the resources of said we'll just say the computer or whatever that the simulation is running on.
And it can't be totally reset because you got the remnant. Remember, you got that remnant that carries some of the old over.
What I'm thinking is there's a set block of time for the simulation to run on, right? When the simulation has run its course, right? Whatever parameters are given for the whatever the condition is as being, quote unquote, the end of the simulation. But once the simulation ends, it just starts over again, utilizing, the same, I would say, data set or whatever, but it's allowed to run again. And, each time the simulation is going to be a little bit different, because that's how simulations go. They're not going to be the same every time. They're going to play out a little bit differently. So, then that gets into the whole conversation of multiple, the multiverse and parallel universes and all of that stuff, because that can still apply to the simulation. That can still apply to simulation theory, because then we're just talking about multiple simulations being run. And who's to even say that these simulations are being run back to back? I'm talking, I'm sitting here describing 10-minute chunks of his simulation and then another one starting. But
what we say is timelines, Scott. We talk about timelines. That could be our way of interpreting a parallel simulation that's running beside us.
Yeah, that's what I say. Who's to say that there's not, simulations being run in parallel, all utilizing the same data set, right? If you're running parallel simulations, but you're feeding it the same data or the same information, or if we want to look at it in terms of simulation theory, all of the data of the universe that the simulation potentially has access to, right? You think of that, the Akashic record, right? Is that merely just the database, the data, being able to access the data sets that the simulation is running on? See, think about that. You're accessing the hard drive.
Scripted, baby. The whole game's scripted. It feels scripted, man.
When we start the program, we plant the seed. We watch how it grows, if it takes root or not. because in the linear aspect from point A, planting the seeds, the outcome is a harvest. And how can we have an estimation, a prophecy, a guess of the outcome? We plant different seeds. We watch how all the different seeds root and take root so they can grow and produce that crop to be harvested. And when we pay attention with Candlemas and we're like, oh, here comes the spring. Do we have our seeds ready? Is the program ready to be initiated? At what point is it started? The new moon, the full moon, January, February? Who selects? We do at this moment.
We'll be
Or
back
next.
in 3 short minutes. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. 1 hour to go, and then we hand you over to Brent Thomas. And he'll take you through the paranormal portal. Don't go anywhere. There we go, there we go. So far this week, I haven't hung up on anyone by mistake. It's great. So far. I've got 2 more segments to go. Oh, come on, touch wood. Gonna get a coffee, boys. I shall...
I'm gonna grab something to drink too. So
Nacy, do you want me to put some music on so you can go beyond the tip?
I can't now with the kids around. But yeah, let's listen to some music.
It's just... I'll put on just so I can go make a quick coffee, and then you don't have to feel the pressure to sit and talk to the masses. And thank you all out there for tuning in. Top notch, folks, top notch. Hit like, hit share. Remember, over on KBS2, our other channel, we have got memberships over there. You can follow on the craziness on our Savage Sundays. If I don't get a coffee
Subscribe.
soon... Yeah, subscribe, share, and... No! That's what I meant to play. There we go, there we go. Back, boys, back. I've got a story here about it's an update on probably one of the most infamous woo stories out there. The Dyatlov Pass incident.
Oh.
Yes, we've got a new scientific study has solved it again. How many times this has been solved now, and still, I don't think we've had a decent explanation, because they're not willing to open their minds to the wooology that's concerned.
No, they don't want to admit how absolutely insane that whole incident was. And I don't care how much they try to rationalize it and come up with some sort of scientific explanation. There is no way you can explain what happened out there and the state that those people were found in, and just...
That's like X-File top 10.
Yeah, that's one of the more...
We'll get into that, and then we'll get into some of our favourite incidents. Wooery. How's that sound, boys? Been good. Watching the clock here, and I'd played the Social Justice Warrior sound clip, man. I've got too many sound clips on my soundboard. It's like Spaghetti Junction in there. It's almost like potluck now when you press it. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and...
Sarcophagi.
That's perfect.
How on earth did he end up on there? Well, I don't know, but it was meant to be.
How dare
It's
you!
really disturbing when you're expecting to hear Greta, and then the sarcophagi Jimmy comes in. That was bizarre, dude.
Yeah, you just hear that weird whispered breath of Jim. Sarcophagi.
So funny getting him to record that, because if you were doing a show with him, anytime he says sarcophagi, it's a classic soundbite. But when you say, right, Jimmy, I'm going to record you now, say it. It took about 59 takes, dude. Not that I was counting or anything. It was ridiculous. I put him on the spot. He was getting all nervous and dry mouth syndrome and sarcophagi. I think he said scampi at one point. I'm like, come on, man. What's going on, Jimbo? You know?
You gotta let it flow naturally from Jimmy, and the secret is, Kev, is you gotta have the record button, you gotta have it going, and you just gotta catch the moment. You can't put people like Jimmy on the spot.
Jimmy is I've actually got him booked in for next Wednesday, and we're gonna get into some ancient documents. But I tell you, he really blew me away with the whole Chaco Pass type stuff, the canyon thing and all that. And he's also Jimmy Jeans for people. He's got his YouTube channel, and he's also now got a podcast over on something called Aftermath. And that was started by Clyde Lewis, so you can catch Jimmy over there as well. So yeah, good stuff, man. So Jimmy's gonna be on Wednesday night on KBS. Shameless plug there, I know. Dr. Brian Keating, astrophysicist, he's gonna be back on the show real soon as well. I touched base with him today. We were meant to pre-record again. Third time lucky. My fault first time, his fault this time. So hopefully third time lucky. And one potential other big science guest coming onto the show in the near future. That's all I'm going to say. And usually when I say this, 9 times out of 10, I'll fulfill. And I'm close to this one, so I can confidently say, big name guest coming up on KBS real soon. I'll tell you guys after the show. But we're going to go deep, deep woo, and we're going to go into the snow. Yes, we're going to look at a new explanation for, like I was saying to the guys, me personally, one of my top 10 X-Files, the Dyatlov Pass incident. So we're going to go over to one of our favourite websites. Big shout out to Nick Redfern and all the team over there. It says here,
nice.
Yeah, it's the mysterious universe.
We haven't been to the mysterious universe in a while, actually. It's time. It's time to
we have been drinking from many troughs, Scotty. Many troughs.
Yes, we've been sucked from the bosom of many a woods.
Oh, yeah, suckling from the bosom of woo, the woosum. Does a Wookiee have a woosum instead of a... Yeah, there you go. Now it's going to get all weird if I keep going with that. Anyhow, Paul Seaburn, big shout out to the writer of this article, mysteriousuniverse.org. Trust me, fair use is in game, because by the time we've finished with this, we'll have altered this to the point where it's irrecognizable. It absolutely falls under fair use. 9 young hikers came to a mysterious end in the winter of 1959 on a frigid remote pass in the Ural Mountains, launching Dyatlov Pass into the world lexicon and kicking off a search for the reasons how they passed and why their bodies were found scattered around the area, some of them with horrific and baffling injuries, others with none, some in various stages of undress, but all frozen and, well, none of them came home. When conventional causes proved inconclusive, the strange and the bizarre quickly emerged. UFOs, aliens, Yeti, radiation from a secret rocket test, one of my personal favourites, secret heat ray weapon, poisoned alcohol, the KGB getting involved, a vacuum, things that make you go boom, and more. So none of those have been confirmed either. So a group of scientists went back to one of the conventional causes and revealed this week the most plausible scientific explanation for a Dyatlov pass. Drum roll, please. Here we go. Here we show how a combination of irregular topography, a cut made in the slope to install the tent, and the subsequent deposition of snow induced a strong katabatic winds contributed after a suitable time to the slab release, which caused severe non-fatal injuries in agreement with the autopsy results. However, I would add in there, how did it get them all undressed, and what about all the other weirdness going on?
So they're trying to say that
natural event, dude. It was just like a freaky weather thing. Okay, so it goes on to say, if you missed the clues, irregular topography, cut, snow, slab release, the authors of the study, published in the journal Communications, Earth and Environment, concluded that the Dyatlov Pass hikers were run over by a small avalanche, which the injuries, and scattered them and their belongings, forcing their passing due to hypothermia. It says, arguments against the avalanche theory, please. A snow avalanche is not a new probable cause. In fact, it was one of the first proposed and rejected. For one thing, there was no sign of an avalanche when the rescuers finally arrived. And second, the slope was less than the minimum angle for the avalanche. Third, the hikers fled their tents in the middle of the night. Not a typical avalanche time. And finally, not all of the injuries appeared to be of the type normally seen in avalanche victims. I was going to say, that would be the first thing, right? It's got to be the first thing they looked at. And you would think avalanche, you're going to see some evidence. Maybe trees bent over, pile of snow at the bottom, some missing up the top, you know?
I've never seen an avalanche dissect a person with surgical precision and have radiation burns and
crazy winds that just undress people and put them by the,
yeah. No, I'm not. No. So they've decided that they were going to try and come full circle and try and throw out the old avalanche theory again, which was one of the initial theories that was immediately thrown out because there's no way, man. There's no way.
What are you thinking, Nacy? What are you thinking? And may I say, going back to 1959, we're dealing with a very cold case here, boys. Very cold case.
Oh.
Could the Yeti be of extraterrestrial nature and have precise medical history to know exactly how to make such cuts on the human body?
Now, you see, that's a lot of questions there. Now, I'll take the first part. Could it be extraterrestrial, or as I prefer to call it, because I'm dead woke, trans-dimensional? Really flamboyant. Yeah, he makes a noise when he turns up there and everything. He's got like a rainbow scarf, and hey, he is what he is, man.
You got all the jargon and nomenclature down. I mean, look at you.
Oh, I'm telling you, dude, it's too much. Anywho, no, I think that the Yeti is a similar entity to the Yowie, Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the skunk ape, the wild men of the UK, whatever place you're talking about. These big hairy, big feet. Definitely weirdness.
No, I mean, look, I think the Yeti should be on the table.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm just saying, yeah. Kevin and Dave went back and forth on that one.
We're Yeti friendly here.
We are.
Yes, exactly. You know, we are. We definitely are friends of the Yeti. But no, I'm not going to take the Yeti off the table as a possible explanation. Could we have seen is this the result of what happens if you encroach upon the Yeti's territory? There have been accounts and people saying that sometimes these Bigfoot, these hairy humanoid cryptids can be aggressive. They're not always shy and running away from humans. That sometimes they do get aggressive, and there's been reports from loggers in the 1800s up in the Pacific Northwest that these things were coming down, and I think we've read stories about this before, from Mysterious Universe, that these things were coming down and terrorizing the loggers and throwing things and attacking people, dragging people into the woods. And
in the chat room, Scott said, where would a Yeti get a knife? I said, anywhere a bloody Yeti wants to get a knife, you gonna stop it?
At least 33% of the Yeti or the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch have to be of negative in nature. At least 33%.
They can't all be good. You're right. They can't all be good.
No, they can't. Yeah.
Even if they are, I mean, it's got to be. Some have to have a bad day, right, Scott? I mean, you just come across a Wookiee and it's not the wrong time of the month.
And what if we do taste of chicken?
Who knows?
Maybe. Hey, who knows?
Maybe like the smell of vodka.
Hey, hey, we're getting into those extreme carnivorous activities again. Yeah,
exactly.
Hey.
I'll go exactly. In Scotland, our Bigfoot, they throw fish. That was one man's first indication that he had a problem with a Bigfoot. He got slapped in the head with a fish, Scott.
Now, so we have these hikers. They're up there in this remote area of Russia. This was it a Dyatlov pass, and maybe they just wrong place, wrong time. Maybe they just were in a Yeti's territory, and the Yeti was like, you know what, it's on. And hey, who knows how these things attack or what they're capable of. We've heard also the reports that possibly these things utilize infrasound, right? A super low frequency kind of thing that they do that can disorient people and cause all kinds of weird, it's like a frequency attack. If you think about it, it's a targeted frequency attack. So if they have the ability to do weird things like that, then who's to say they don't have some kind of what if, dude, I mean, that's kind of scary to think about. What if they have some kind of a weird telekinetic ability to where they're just able to like shred somebody, with their thought of their mind. If you're in a certain range, they can just like rip you to shreds without even having to touch you.
There's
or
a really
something.
comforting thought for anyone who had camping on their list of things to do later on this year. Don't forget about those mind Jedi Yetis, man.
Maybe that explains some of the bizarre
Missing 411.
Yeah,
Exactly.
or just the bizarre blunt force trauma that may have occurred to some of these people and the bizarre injuries. Maybe they're being thrashed around by this telekinesis from this Yeti that's just within range to do his Darth Vader chokeholds on everyone and slamming people around.
There's a
I don't
part of me that
realizing-
wants to confirm, Kev, that it was the KGB, but then there's the part of me that's still controlled by that mob, so I can't really confirm or deny that they had anything to do with it,
Using
It's okay.
VLF to do that very low growl and reaching out with their hand and just throwing you around.
A hairy hand. Definitely a
Look,
hairy hand.
Look, Kev, you got to think. Okay, so if the Yeti and the Bigfoot, if they're interdimensional creatures, which is kind of where everybody is leaning towards now. I originally started with the more, it's just an undiscovered species.
Well, I'm still for the fact that there's not one fits all, Scott. I mean, there still could be people seeing big primates and things like that we haven't. Yeah,
there's definitely a mix of, I think, that going on as well.
Yeah.
The more bizarre stuff, I think, is the interdimensional stuff, right? And so you got to figure, if you're within range of something that's interdimensional, that is crossed the veil, then probably everything that's going on around you, in that vicinity, there's a lot of weirdness happening because you're in an area that's opened up, right? There's stuff flowing back and forth from each. And
all those resources got 10% extra just gushing through.
Yeah, and who knows what's going on energetically? Our radiation levels increasing because you're phasing into another realm of existence.
This is beautiful, man. I need this every Friday. I do. This reminds me that no, I'm not going mad. There are other people out there that think along the same beautiful lines that my brain kind of constructs. But listen, I'm going to come back to 411 in a moment, because when Kev mentioned that there, and that's a good topic. But to finish this off, it says arguments for the slab avalanche. Fair. You look at both sides here. Johann Guam, head of the Snow and Avalanche Simulation Laboratory at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne, and Alexander Pizrin, a researcher at the Institute of Geotechnical Engineering in Zurich, studied records from the time of the incident and then ran them through a digital avalanche model. A slab avalanche addressed the main "it's not an avalanche" objections. The angle of the slope was steeper than reported, and subsequent snowfalls reduced the pitch and almost smoothed over the signs of an avalanche. While the cut in the slope was made during the day, extreme winds blew as much as a foot of snow above the highest tent, weighing it down enough to cause a break and a slab avalanche. Finally, because the hikers were asleep in a vertical position, the injuries they suffered would not have looked the same as those of people upright while hiking, skiing, or running away. It says, time for a "that's it" drum roll. It says, in conclusion, our work shows the plausibility of a rather rare type of snow slab instabilities that could possibly explain the Dyatlov Pass incidents. I like it. They leave it quite open, though. Yet we do not explain nor address the controversial elements surrounding the investigation, such as traces of radioactivity found on the victim's garments. Okay, can I rule out your avalanche now? The behaviour of the hikers after leaving the tent, the location and the states of their bodies. Now, while possible explanations are given in multiple published sources, as well as by both the investigative committee and the Prosecutor General of the Russian Federation, we believe that this will always remain an intrinsic part of the Dyatlov Pass mystery. And Guam and Puzrin hedge their bets by using the word plausibility in their conclusion. Still, it seems to be the best. No, it's not. Well, I'm not buying it. Scott, come on. Not buying it.
Absolutely not. No, because we all know that, we all know that hikers are hit with waves of radioactive snow that just,
it's what every skier looks out for. They've all got Geiger counters on their ski poles, right? I mean, it's the first thing I learned when I went to Norway. Kev, grab the Geiger counter. Why is that? Oh, well, when we're going up that hill, it tells you an avalanche is coming. No, it doesn't.
We all know that
avalanches
are radioactive.
And doesn't it say something about the people were found without any clothes on? And so as you're getting buried in the snow, it's ripping apart your tent and ripping apart your sleeping bag and ripping apart your clothes. and the end result causes nudity?
I mean, it could.
Could do. Could do.
Could. Yeah, it could. It could. It could.
But does it cause
does-
radioactive nudity? They say. Does
Well,
it, does
the
it need to go
electromagnetic
nuclear?
attraction of nudity could increase somebody's LMF, and that would be the end desire.
Maybe they were just people that glowed in the dark and they were naturally radioactive. Maybe they were time travelers. And that's why they had traces of a rare isotope on them. Because it's the isotope that they use in the future, which is probably the now as well, to get back to there. Why they were hiking that day, I don't know, Scott. Why the time travelers went there, I haven't figured that out yet.
They
But
were
I think the
black
KGB
goo
got them.
dealing.
Oh, were they into a little bit of the black wooery? Did I hear the famous words there? The
They were
goo.
dealing it. They were dealers of the black goo.
Were they? Are they intergalactic goo traders? Is this what we're talking about here? Is this what happened, Scott?
You know what happened? You know what happened, Kev? They were out there camping. All of a sudden, they started hearing this staticky sound. You know, just kind of.
you know it. You know it. The mist. A
Yeah.
mist coming down on that as well, man.
They all of a sudden they start hearing this, bzz, bzz, you know, hearing this staticky charge. Started seeing some
The lights.
arcs and
The lights
flashes
as well. Yep, definitely, man.
And then you know what? You know what appeared for a brief second. You know, blew them back, ripped some of them to shreds.
Greta. No, bam.
The Eldridge.
Oh, holy
The Eldritch.
shinoly, Scott Lopez dropping it, man. So you're saying
A
if we
couple
dig a
of the
bit deeper,
crewmen
the
jumped off the edge.
yeah, some of those weren't even hikers; they were sailors. Is that where we're going with this fictional yarn, Scott? I like it.
It
Showed up
phased
and
in.
asked who has the black goo on them.
Imagine it, Kev. Just
We have to bring
imagine.
it back.
It phased in. It phased in just above them, and it started to drop down. You know, just like, you know, just imagine a ship just dropping out of the sky, and then right before it hit the ground, it phased back out. And as it phased back out, it caused a cavitation that just kind of like collapsed in on itself, ripping some of them to shreds, throwing them across the mountain.
Damn, dude. Damn, dude. But I can't
And then-
remember in
and
the
then they
original story, though,
three-
Scott. In the original story, did it have like where it went to when it disappeared? Did it leave that kind of open ended? Did it leave
leaves-
like?
That's what I'm saying. It leaves it open because, you know, we could
Have to
take
have a
this.
sequel.
You know what, Kev? This is our new thing. Anywhere we can inject the Eldridge, that's
Right.
what's gonna happen.
It's going to be
So-
like Bernie's meme. We should just Photoshop the Eldridge into things in various
See in
states
the
of
back-
manifestation. There you
In the
go.
background.
Yep. We could have him actually as the captain of the Eldridge, sitting there all cold looking. And there you go. Bernie's Eldridge, man.
Well, we
Can-
cannot confirm or deny that we have utilized the Eldridge as part of our propulsion on Captain Kev's trans space. What was the last part?
Transmutational, interdimensional, transgressional anomaly of a ship. That's what it is.
The DeLorean.
Yep, the SS Douche, thank you. Some call it a canoe, but not I, not I. Joe Joseph's the captain of this ship. But I almost forgot I had a coffee there, boys. We got so far into the woo. Missing 411, they say, before I forget, before it goes out my mind, man. What do you make of that stuff? I can't remember if we've had a show with you about that before, but you into that kind of woo?
Absolutely.
I knew he would be, man. I knew he would be. See, well, we'll save that for after the break, right? We'll save that for after the break. So I remember where I was going to go, and then Scott disappeared, and it kind of, oh no, and I forgot. That's how easily I forget, Scott. I have heard people saying, you know how in my new way of how I look at everything and I re-examine everything I thought I even knew about woo and everything, there's people that claim the Philadelphia experiment never even took place, boys. It really triggers me. It really triggers me. But I need to be
It does.
very logical. and we need to sit down and we need to say, how much evidence is there? Or is it just a story from Al Bielek and a couple of photos?
Wasn't it Nelson Mandela effectually not knowing?
I don't think he was on the Eldridge. I know he's been accused of being many places, passing away a couple of times. But I tell you, if you start telling me Nelson Mandela was on the USS Eldridge, I'm out. I want a divergent timeline.
I definitely believe that something happened, that there was a test of some kind. Now, how far did it go, and did it go as far as, you know, the claims made, you know, with the ship completely, you know, disappearing and then reappearing and
I
all
think
of that?
it did.
I think so too. I honestly, I mean, my gut tells me that something went down, that happened. But at the very least, I think we're talking about some kind of a military experiment of some kind, which is absolutely plausible.
And it's more than
So you got
plausible.
to create the tool.
Exactly. You can't tell me that if there were scientists with the potential to cloak something, that they wouldn't have been playing about with that. So we'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere, folks. One segment to go on your Freaky Friday. There we go, ladies and gents. Yes, indeed. Oh, great people, the fellowship of YouTube.
We
Yes.
should sell that story to Netflix about the
about
Yeti
the Dyatlov pass, the
on the
Yeti.
Eldridge.
Yep. And Nelson Mandela driving it even better.
Okay, so have you ever seen the Thor Ragnarok movie?
Yes, I have. Very good.
Okay, so you remember the planet he gets stranded on,
Yep.
and it's like a junk planet where
Yep.
like,
This is where he gets
All-
fat.
well, that's in the last, that's in Endgame.
That's the other
Or-
one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
What if
so
they're looking to create a portal to throw our garbage in? Is that where you're going, Scotty?
well, I was just saying, I wonder if something like that, you know, like when we talk about, oh, the keys that went missing that you could have swore that you put on the counter, right? And they end up missing, and you end up having to have your keys remade or something because you just never find them. You know, those objects that just completely disappear and you have no idea how. I wonder if there's something like that. You know, like,
Did you see the remake of Land of the Lost?
No.
yes.
Okay, remember that where they found that area in the desert where things were just popping in and out of?
Yes.
Yeah,
So funny.
exactly.
But yeah, you got to wonder, like, are objects, you know, that go missing, are they blipping out here and then just showing up somewhere else in the
I
universe?
prefer when they don't show up again. It freaks me out when you know you put it somewhere and you're looking about, and even though you move away from where you know you put it, and eventually you look over and it's back.
It phases back in. There you
Did
go.
I share with you guys about my deerskin shirt doing that?
Oh no, I'm liking this thing. Hang on, Kev. We've only got a couple of seconds before we come back, right?
Right.
Hang on, I'm gonna write that down because that sounds like a good story. That's the ones that mess me up though. It's like, hang on a minute, man. You know, you're that troubled when it's not there in the first place, and then for it just to re-emerge, you're like, no.
You want to be even more troubled, Kev? If that's the case, if it came back, then that means it brought back 10% extra resources.
What else
with
did it bring with it? Who brought it back exactly, Scott? Exactly. Who's cold dead and brought it back in the room, man? Oh.
If you can cut a little hole in the space-time continuum and then grab it from Kev, grab his coffee cup.
Is there not some things though, boys, that make your brain like almost like short circuit and just, it doesn't know, this is not comfortable? Mandela's like Black Tom Island. That's the level of, it's like, oh man, it's like there's a paradox waiting. You can't look at that too much. You're just gonna, you're not gonna be here anymore. You can't question that stuff. Don't look at it.
Oak Island.
We live in a world where certain Mandelas are verboten.
What's happening on Oak Island?
Oak Island, dude. Oak Island is like I tell you, that place may hold evidence of the kind of history we're talking about, where it's multi-layered. There's so many different stories being told. There's been so many things going on at Oak Island. I don't know if they're ever going to get to literally boom boom the bottom of it.
I'm waiting for them to ask the local natives, what is their story of this island?
Welcome back. Yes, Kevin, there. It's his island, I'm telling you. We're talking about Oak Island there during the break, but we've got one segment to go here. Let me remind you that Brent Thomas, I got it right this time. Wow. Damn, that's so embarrassing. Apologies to Brent for getting his name wrong earlier on, but hey, Kevin Dave collided. It happens. But he's going to take you through.
I was to say earlier, I almost forgot Brad Olson's name, and I almost called him Brent Olson.
Oh, Brents and Brads. Be careful, boys. Anchor yourself in our reality. It looks like you're phasing out. And talking of phasing out, when we get out of here, you can phase on over to the paranormal portal, where you are going to get a level of woo that is just going to be like the icing on the cake after this. But phasing in, phasing out. That's where we're going next, because we were talking during the break, and some things make my head really hurt. I love going quantum, and I love getting into the woo, but deja vu, it's one that gives me a kind of belly and brain bad feeling. Black Tom Island, the Mandela effect, it's like if I stayed at that too long, I think the time cops are going to turn up and kind of take me away, because I might break something. But you've all had this, folks. I can safely say you've probably all experienced where, you put your keys on the counter, on the kitchen unit, something, right? Wherever it is, you go back to get your keys, boof, no keys. Now, they're there. You can literally remember putting them there. But you eventually think, well, maybe somebody moved them, whatever. And you're still, though, at the corner of your eye, you're looking over there thinking, I know I bloody put them there. But now you can't find them, and then it'll just be random. It might be a 10 minutes later. It could even be like a whole day or so later. The keys will turn up exactly where you thought they were going to be. Now, what is going on there? Scott says sometimes they never come back, and I prefer that. If they're gone, they're gone. You don't get that. Because like I was saying to the boys, who's cold hand brought that back into this reality. And who took it away in the first place? And then Kev says, I've got a shirt that does that. What's happening, they say?
So, as I shared with you before, 2 summers ago, I had the incredible experience of going to a Sundance in the beginning of July. And it's hot in South Dakota in July. And as I was preparing to go to this event, I was getting my clothing selected. And one of the things that I wanted to bring is a wawashkeshki, a deer hide shirt. It's like a ribbon shirt with the fringes and stuff, and I use it for ceremonies and rituals. And I had 5 different people tear the house apart to find this shirt, and no one could find it. And then even when my friend came to pick me up, shout out to my buddy Lonnie, he said, do we got everything? And I said, I really wish that I had my deer hide shirt. And so he was the last person to look all over for it. So we can't find it. So we go to Sundance. We have that incredible experience. We come back from Sundance and we're putting stuff away. And we're talking about the experience and, what we would have changed or anything like that. And I said, I really wish I had my deer hide shirt, but it would have been way too hot to wear in the middle of the summer. And so he's taking my ribbon shirt and my other shirts that I have and go to hang them up in my closet. He opens up the closet and he starts laughing. And I'm like, what? And he's like, come here. And he goes, is your deer hide shirt two-tone where the chest and back are one color and the sleeves are a different color and they have about 8-inch fringe going up the arms? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's right here. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it's hanging up right here in the closet. As soon as I open up the closet, It's right there. And I'm like, no way. And he even like took it off the rack and held it out in front of me so I could feel it. And I'm like, we had 5 people look for this thing, and you even looked for it too. And he's like, I know. I looked right here. I know this was not here.
See, boys, that's the weird. And Kev, did it give you like a? It's like it's like somebody's kicked you where you don't ever want to be kicked. It's that tightening of the belly. Not good. Bad juju.
The first feeling that I got was that my father did it. That my father took it away, and he was like saying, "Listen, you numbskull. It's in the middle of the summer. You're thinking about wearing a deer hide shirt when you're doing a fast. That's ridiculous." And he took it away from me so I wouldn't wear it, because it was like 102, 104 degrees in the middle of the summer, and a deer hide shirt is heavy.
But yeah, I was thinking that's the kind of thing I'd want on to go to the shops right now, because it would take the round dangly things off a brass monkey, so it would, Scott. I'm telling you, it's very cold out there. Very cold. Deer hide would come in very handy, as long as it's phased into my reality, you know.
Can I throw out a little woo about this out of left field?
Oh yes, I'm gonna get my hammock up because I see the beach of Speculation Island. We're there, boys. We're there.
Yes. So I'm gonna throw something out there that I don't think anyone is thinking of right now.
Ooh.
What if we're dealing with the mischievous little people?
Dude, listen, this is it's gonna sound bizarre, but I'd heard something similar to what you're saying. Maybe, whoa, I want to go back over 10 years on a coast to coast. It's one of the few occasions where I had to turn coast to coast off though, because somebody started talking about how they were in Starbucks and they like dropped their change or something, and this little fairy woman who had on she had like the fairy stick and lovely little dress, and jumped up onto the counter and flew up into his hand with it. For me, even, and at that point I liked a good coast to coast. I was very kind of forgiving. I would open my mind to a lot of things, but the way the story was told right up to that point, like when it was responsible for moving keys and things, I was good. You couldn't see them, but when they start flying up into your hand, giving you your change and winking at you, say,
yeah, I don't know about all that, but
the mischievous ones, I'm with you.
If we're talking about entities that are phasing in and out of our reality from that standpoint, right? When we had a lot of our discussion with Jason about the little people and all of these entities and stuff like that, some of them, quite a few of these, they had that aspect of that kind of supernatural ability to phase in and out of our plane of existence, right? And if they're mischievous and they're wanting to essentially like troll people and cause a little bit of havoc, hey, let's pop into so-and-so's house and snatch his keys off the table, and then
However,
see him get all worked up and flabber, all flustered about it, and then we'll pop in a little bit later and put the keys back. It sounds like some mischievous kind of activity that a little gnome would engage in, right? To just mess around with somebody. So maybe we're dealing with some cosmic trolling going on here, Kev.
I think it, man. I like it. Yeah.
If they could phase in and phase out, what if they knew the future and they said, hey, we need to take Kev's keys for 5 minutes, because if he takes off right now, that semi truck
That's a great way of thinking about it, dude. Really great way of thinking about something.
You never know,
Yeah.
right? We could also be talking about like a guardian angel situation where we know that something needs to be removed from the equation to prevent something from the future from happening, right? To prevent the butterfly effect, if you will.
This shows
Right.
the butterfly effect. You see, now in this final segment, Kevin, now you're appreciating. No point putting time in because we never know where we're going. But we've ended up on little people fairies and a damn fine conversation about gnomes that are moving things and now guardian angels. And we've covered so many things. You see, and never forget that the Eldridge is lurking about somewhere. Always look up, folks. Always look up. See?
Well, absolutely, and I'm sorry. Pity and forgive me again for bombarding you with.
No, me and Scott, we like to have a
videos.
laugh and a joke. So we're gonna involve you in that. And if you do insist on telling me to look at things on a Freaky Friday, I think it's only fair. I think it's only fair that we make it part of our shtick, Scott, isn't it? And we still go to the topics. We still went there. It's not like we totally like wasted Kev's time looking into things. No. But we will have a laugh with it.
We went all the way back to ancient Rome with it and how they've utilized bread and circus to propagandize the public and put forth their symbology and rituals and esoteric significance on things and all of that good stuff. So
Talking hand. Quick message from Nano, tying in with what you said, Scott. I think there are angels out there, for sure. Too many stories about them to deny. Nano Girl, I absolutely concur. And we live in a world where it's leaning towards, hey, if it bleeds, it leads, right? And we often, even my type of show, this type of show, we tend to look at the ooga booga, the dark, the shock value, the creepy, the crawly. But I would imagine there's equal amounts of positive stories, random acts of kindness, things that happen in everyday life. Only people don't run about to tell you online as much and they don't get viral. So I'm with you, Nano. With you all the way.
You know what, Kev? There's an idea. Even though we don't really prepare
Will we do it next week? Will we go?
Next Friday, let's dig up some of the most remarkable sort of stories of guardian angels or things that are that have what appears to be some kind of a supernatural intervention in people's lives, like in an incident or something.
Now look at him. He's probably sitting there smiling to himself as Nacy. He's thinking, 2 hours 43 minutes. That's all it took for us to bend to his whims, Scotty. Look, we done it to ourselves, man. By the end of the show, we're doing what he wanted us to do. See? It all works, man. It all works. Yeah?
I'm not going to confirm or deny that my magic wand is there.
Sitting there in his deer hide and not a lot else, Kev. That's what I've heard, yes. The deer hide and not a lot else.
Figure out how to utilize the tool, because once I am superseding and collecting all of the data, then I can take that assumption or that scientific theory and put it in place, and knowing 7 out of 10 times it'll come around again, Freaky Friday, with the Woo crew and you too, to have all of this enjoyment. And so thank you, my captain.
Oh, yeah, this is a captainless ship. It's the quantum captains. We're all captains and there's no captains. But I'm actually putting it on the schedule now. This is like when Moses got given the commandments, the digital version of all the guests and the ideas. Random acts of kindness and guardian angels. I've actually put it in there because that way when I look now, we won't forget. Sometimes, Scott, we've promised to do something and we've forgot umpteen times.
Yes, a lot can happen in the span of a week that could derail us from whatever we kind of crudely had planned from the week before. So yeah, But no, I definitely think the guardian angel topic is really gonna get interesting, and we're gonna dig up a lot of interesting stuff on that.
What do you reckon then? What do you reckon, boys? Right? I mean, I think I'm going into the realms of fictional here. However, that being said, okay, I'll never forget the return to Boleskine, and I seen somebody in the chat room earlier on saying you've been touched by Boleskine, by Crowley, man. They left that left a dark mark on you, right?
You've been
Inappropriate touch.
You've been touched by Crowley's hairy hands.
I'm telling you, dude, something got over me and into me in that place, right? But when we did go back,
touched by an angel.
Oh, absolutely nothing angelic. But then we went back, and this was like maybe a year or so later. And I'll never forget it, and we've got it on camera. I can probably dig it up quickly before the show finishes. But me and my brother are walking around the place, and it's been kind of cleared out from when we had been up to do our thing. And we talked about it. I said, you know what this place really, really needs? It needs Bill Bean. You know, if we can't get Bill Bean, a couple of his warrior angels right over here and sort this place out. It's bad juju. It was like, oh, it still felt bad. And it was like a week to the day later that news came through that the second fire had occurred. Cause unknown.
You see?
You make of that what you will. You know, it is what it is. It's two things. That both things factually happened. Are they connected? That's up to you. You know?
You invoked Bill Bean's name up there, and just that alone, you know, being the spiritual warrior that Bill Bean is, I think just the words.
Even Mary Decina, right? It might sound like an astrologist and a deliverance minister won't have much of a crossover, but they do. They talk about rebuking things and energies and UFOs, and so I tell you, right? But you know, Mary said it was last night. She actually said she's tried that because she's got this kind of psychic bit to her as well. Maybe once or twice she tried what you would call the exorcist thing. Oh, no way. No way. She would never go near that again. So she's got a lot of respect for Bill, you know.
As I stated before, that when these entities come to visit, that you do not want to immediately go into fight mode, because so think of the experience of the playground. When you got in a fight, you beat somebody up, then that person that got beat up goes back and talks to other entities where they're like, oh, well, he can't beat me. And so when you start putting it out there that you are a fighter and you're willing to take on these entities, then that's when you really have to take even more preparation to ward yourself or to protect yourself. Because when you make those proclamations of bring on the darkness, I'm going to be the light, more darkness will come to try to extinguish that light. It's that full spectrum, because there are negative angels, because one of their names was Lucifer at one time.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. Yep. The most handsome one, leader of the choir, liked a good tune, you know?
So be careful. don't be lifting up your. Do not be lifting up your kilt and shaking your arse and taunting the other side.
Well, think of that poor woman, Kev, back in the day, right? And you're talking about back in the time where the men were over one side of the dance hall and the women on the other side, and very well to do, and you know, there'd be no kissing or canoodling or anything like that, no touching, you know. And then this handsome stranger comes in and it's like, wow, you can picture the scene like Dirty Dancing or something, all the women's heads turning, all wanting to dance and looking his part, you know, the kilt on, the sporran, and all the dress coat, and I was going to say the brogues, only he never had brogues on because he had hairy feet and hoofs. Not good.
I was relaying that story to my mom. I was telling her the story, you know, and relaying it the way that
the devil on the dance floor.
guess what was crazy about it? Before even the punchline came about the hooves, my mom called it. I was like, they looked down and guess what? And she was like, he had hooved feet, didn't he? I was like, oh, what? And she's like, I've heard the similar stories like that
That's
before.
the weirdest part, right? That's the weirdest thing, that there's similar stories. What is that all about, you know?
So
I've actually got
fact
that here. Oh, it's too long. No, it's not too long. Is it 4 minutes? No, we can talk. Well, I'm not going to play the devil in the dance floor. We've heard that before. Pearly would have been getting excited there. She'd have been getting excited. Oh, the dopamine would have been getting ready to squirt off there, man.
After Pearly body slammed you earlier.
Exactly, Pearly. I took you right up to the point where you thought you were going to have your 4 minutes 40 seconds of fame again. But you see what you can do. You see, mother. Do you know what it is, Scott? Do you know what it is? It's because I'm on a. There goes the messenger. Look, it's because I'm on a 2-week winning streak at Words with Friends. Yes.
I'm just laughing because I just see the sign for the Bates Motel next to you.
Early. Norman.
Vacancy.
There's a fine line between Norman, Dave, and Kev. Is there a Norman in there? Oh, a third baker was born, or was he a baker? Well, I hope he was a baker. A lot better being a master baker than a.
You know what? The longer this goes on, the more this is starting to sound like you're part of some kind of a Project Monarch MK Ultra.
I was in the army, remember? 77 Squadron, 13 Signals. Don't tell anyone, Scott. Hey, V, shalom.
We are now up to 3 people. 3
Identity is critical.
Realities. So
it's all coming back, boys. It's all coming back. It's all coming back now. Wait till I fully remember my 20 years I had up on Uranus. Oh, boys, wait till I tell you. That Uranus defense force, the Klingon attacks were absolutely tremendous.
You don't want anything penetrating the airspace of Uranus.
No, never, Scott. No, it's a no-fly zone. I can tell you, it's a permanent no-fly zone.
No penetration, Kev.
Absolutely no tips, no nothing. Nothing.
Just the cap.
No amu.
No tips, just a cap.
Exactly. let me have a look in here. What am I looking for? I was looking for the Boleskine clip, but you know, now it's just all gone. It's all gone wrong. With 4 minutes to go, we've derailed ourselves, man.
Well, yeah, it's the 3 compartmentalized personalities of Baker that are, you know, preventing him from remembering that he was in the Uranus Space Force, and you know, he had to.
I don't know why my mother has decided to inform the audience. Marilyn Monroe was actually Norma Jean Baker. I don't know. Was Marilyn Monroe? Was she MK Ultra? Is my mom trying to tell me something? Did that come from like the same kind of project?
There's a lot of weirdness with the whole Marilyn Monroe thing.
There definitely is an oubliette to touch upon in Hollywood, and the placement of individuals.
It's been a really awesome show. Really awesome show. We went from the Super Bowl through Groundhog Day and Chaco Canyon, spirals, gnomes that steal keys. I'll never forget that. I like them.
Yetis.
And you know what, Scott? You know what's even better about these gnomes? I was thinking about it after you said it. It's like they don't even have to wait, like the day or the hour, to get the punchline. They're trans-dimensional, dude. Time's no object. They take whoever it is they're pranking with, and they go an hour forward. They go, look, now look at him. Look, he's on the couch, really pissed. Boom. What? See?
Yeah, they snatch the keys for like 5 seconds. You know, for you it was like 3 hours that you were looking for the keys, and they just, you know, pop back in.
Somebody in the chat room, Malaya, big shout out to you, Malaya. She just randomly put in there Vikings. I'm going to do a show on the Vikings soon. Maybe we should do it on a Thursday, Scott. Because on that show we could get into Oak Island? Because I'm convinced there's a Viking slant to it. I think they visited there.
Definitely.
Amongst
I mean,
many others.
dude, the Vikings were here way before,
Have you been
Christopher
watching this
Columbus.
season's Okie, Scott?
Yes, I've been trying to catch. No
No
catch it when I
spoilers
can.
for the audience, 'cause I know there's a lot of people at different kind of levels, but wow. Wow. Yep.
Mm-hmm. It just gets more and more bizarre the more they
A
dig.
sliver of light as they keep enlightening us with more wisdom
No,
or
I tell you.
knowledge.
I tell you, it's if you're into that type of documentary, they've got it down. The way they do it is fantastic. It's so addictive to watch. Even though they show you at the end of each segment what's coming up in the next bit, it's like they give you the spoiler. They show you all the good bits before the next segment starts, and you still sit there. It's like, wow. You need to do that in today's world where attention spans are very short. I remember Anthony Patch used to say, we'll give them the right boom, the headline, and then we'll backfill it. And it works. It's the same with Oak
Show
Island.
them the carrot.
This week on Oak Island, and I'll show you them finding the shiny things. And talking Oak Island, can't take you there, but we can take you to the paranormal portal, to the bottom of the money pit, and it's coming up next with Brent Thomas on TFRlive.com. Don't go anywhere. There you go. There we go. Boys and girls, ladies, gents, transdimensionals, intertime-mentionals. I made that one up. That's a good one. Creepers, jeepers, weepers, bleepers,
Weepers.
What about those peepers?
yeah, deeper underground bases and all that kind of good stuff. Folks, Williamism, R.I.P. Rick Clay. Absolutely, brother. Ah, wow. Anyone who knows that name, if you were following Rick Clay, you'll just hear that name and you'll know who that is. Young guy, done a lot of work around the 2012 Symbology. Young guy, not with us anymore. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any woo attached to that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes. But yeah, some of his work when I was growing up, when I was breaking my teeth in the old conspirasphere, very good stuff. And Kevin, it's the kind of when you talk about Super Bowls, when this guy took a look at what was going on around the London Olympics 2012, that kind of stuff, and some of his other work as well. We were talking about people with tarot cards earlier on, right? You've got to be able, you've got to have something in you. You got to have that little bit extra to be good at it. It's the same with doing this. It's the same as why some researchers really rise above some of the others, because they're able to see things and lift things out of the same text that we all look at that others can't, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between, those that are kind of out there to grift, and all of that, and kind of repackage and regurgitate old information and try to present it as something, new that they found. And then you have the true researchers that are actually like digging into stuff and bringing new information to light, or connecting the dots and looking at older information, but finding a way to finding a different perspective of looking at it, and maybe a whole different kind of way of looking at things. And it's stuff like you said, there's some people that have that gift to do that stuff. Right off the top of my head, one of the, I would say, newer people on the scene would be like Ryan Gable.
Oh,
right. When Ryan gets into some deep research and information, he's not just regurgitating something that has been talked about many times before, and he's not trying to repackage something. He's presenting a lot of deep researched information and
new connections, deeper interpretations,
and seriously, like, decoding the information and looking at what's really going on and what could possibly represent.
And they can rap. And he can rap.
Yeah, he can rap. So there's just some people that have that skill, have that ability to deeply research stuff and bring new information to the table. I mean, Aaron and Melissa Dykes, another example of actual deep researchers that dig into the literature and writings of a lot of
we're kind of lucky, the people we've kind of like crossed paths with in the
yeah,
conspiracy.
you think about it, man. Yeah.
Even with the three of us, we get, I mean, and this is why I enjoy the experience like we had today. We have three different individuals that are looking at a topic from three different perspectives. And when we take that opportunity to listen to the others, then all of a sudden it kind of pulls us a little bit from our perspective and their perspective. So then we're even seeing a different perspective that we get to share. And so it's constantly shifting us from the perspectives. So as we nibble on these baited hooks, where is it going to bring it? Is it going to catch us on the internet?
Well, think of how I feel. Think how I feel. I live in the physical real world around me, and then I've got the Dave reality, the Norman reality that's in there competing as well. I've got to have many perspectives at once, Scott, but we're going to get out of here soon, so final thoughts for the WooTube. WooTube. I like that.
Yeah, yes. Well, before we go to Naysay's point, about perspectives and being able to have a conversation, that's part of the problem in general that we have right now in society, is that nobody's sitting down and having a discussion and talking about things, and looking at things from other people's perspectives, right? And it's in that conversation where people can find some kind of a common ground, right? Like, if we're talking about a topic, right, and I kind of have my perspective on it, Naysay has his perspective on it, you might have your perspective on it, but we all kind of find, like Naysay said, we end up kind of shifting our perspective a little bit, where we find kind of this middle ground where we all can agree on something, and that's the problem we have today, is nobody can have a discussion about anything and find some common ground, and find kind of a middle road where, maybe your perspective on it wasn't completely correct, and the other person, something that the other person had kind of filled in that gap, and moved you from your previous perspective. Nobody does that anymore, man. Nobody does that anymore.
You're right. Who knew that the guy that spoke to and addressed a human being as Mr. Ambassador, who would have knew that he went from there to being actually one of the more logical type of thinkers in this kind of madness that we've got in the year of our Lord 2021, they say. That's a quantum conundrum. But final thoughts for the audience before we head on out of here, boys.
Well, if we take that opportunity to let go of the ego and take a look at it from a different perspective, don't get caught up in the paradigm or your own dogma that you've solidified, because we're all in it together. And so when we light our candle, when we illuminate the darkness, do we find that illumination within love, without fear? Or do we find it by lighting a candle in our window to let somebody know there's light there, there's shelter out there, so we can help each other find what we're looking for, what we need? But thank you.
Sounds good to me, bro. Sounds good to me. Scotty, it's been a pleasure, an honor, privilege as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
And we get to do it. We get to do it all over again next week.
Yes, and I think we'll go. If I haven't done the Vikings, because if we don't do 3 hours on angels and random acts of kindness, we'll throw the Vikings in the second half of next week's Freaky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice blend.
We can go anywhere, man. We can go anywhere.
Nice blend of woo. We'll go from the angelic to the druidy. Oof. Old gods. The old gods, boys. Oh. Some good woo. Yep. That's Pearly.
Pig,
She's on
even-
board. She's happy with angels and Vikings. The boss has spoken. So on that note, folks, remember to keep it real out there. Keep looking for the woo. Not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Enjoy the creepy visuals.
Freaky Friday. The Woe Crew.
Massive thank you for being here. Remember, head on over to the Paranormal portal. It'll all be going on over there right now. You'll find them on YouTube or tfrlive.com. I'll be back on Sunday night with the members only stream on KBS2 and with Warrior mode. So until then, keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.